I keep meeting my birth mom but she doesn't know it's me. She had me when she was 14. And I, 24M, was given up for adoption. My parents told me about her growing up. I still have the letter she wrote me that she asked if they could give it to me if they wanted. It's crazy reading it sometimes and knowing it was a literal child who wrote it saying she's sorry she couldn't be my mommy but she hopes I'm happy. She was open to having contact but we moved for my dad's job when I was 11 and then it seemed impossible to find her. But luckily I did. She's working at this small restaurant and I keep going but she doesn't know it's me. We talk sometimes. And she seems like a nice lady. Sometime when she says something like, "Do you want a refill, honey," or uses another term like that I want to tell her. Why it makes me nervous. We talk sometimes and she seems really genuine. If it's not super busy she's more open to talking about random stuff. I literally drive 2 hours to come eat at this place just to see her. And it's like she knows me already because I'm there once or 2 times a week for the past 3 months so she always says hi with a big smile. But man if only she knew. Comments. Commenter 1. She didn't give you up out of spite, it's a child who loved you. Please tell her, because I think for her this would be the biggest joy in her life. Giving up a baby while she leaves you a letter to meet? Hun. She loves you, 14 or 80 a mother's love doesn't change. Otherwise she would have erased any way to contact her. It won't surprise me you're the biggest hole left in her heart. Because a mother is never whole when she lost a child who she loves. If you're too scared, write a letter about yourself with a phone number or a mail. Or leave a baby photo she would recognize with your name and phone number in an envelope with her name on it. Then you don't have to say, "I'm your son." But take the step, because regret is more painful than the present. And every moment counts, the present is only thing you can change. You deserve her and she definitely deserves you. Edit, would you please keep us updated? Otherwise there is a small hole in my heart. Commenter 2. I used to long for my daughter that was adopted. I would visit a neighborhood park, watching all the children to see if I might recognize something in a child that would tell me was mine. Years later, when my daughter was older I sought her out. We have had a wonderful relationship for the last 15 years. She was at that park. Found out she grew up 5 miles from me. She could be craving reconnection as much as I did. I wish you a fulfilled journey and much love. Update. Well I did it I told her and yeah it was pretty heavy. My heart was even beating fast. I kept trying to think how to tell her. Many of the comments on my last post here mentioned writing her a letter just how she wrote a letter for me. Originally that was the plan but for me it felt like I needed to say it. Oh, really quick I want to say thanks to everyone for their love and support. Mostly to all the birth parents out there who shared their stories with me. That's what really helped push me to have the courage to confront her. It meant so much so thanks. Everything happened day before yesterday BTW. I did wait for her to be done with her shift and that was when they were closing the restaurant already. And waited in the parking lot. We said hi when she saw me first but then I told her there was something serious that she needed to know. First told her sorry for keeping it from her this long. She didn't react until I actually pulled out her letter. And she started bawling from there. Like screaming and crying at the same time, and didn't even have to finish the whole "I'm your son" speech. She just saw it and knew. It was crazy. Next thing I know she's hugging me instantly but then she pulled back and asked if it's okay to hug me. OFC it is and we're just there hugging and crying in the parking lot. It hit her hard though. Her legs gave out for a second so I had to actually hold her up while she's still hugging me for a minute. What really got me was her saying to me "Look how big you got." Also hearing her cry made me cry too. She went back to open the restaurant up, she wouldn't take no for an answer, we had coffee, ate a slice of their pie inside and talked. So many stuff we talked about. She told me the second time I came to the restaurant she got a feeling but for her it was hard believe it was me. So that feeling she had was pushed way down, because she told me for years after I was adopted she saw kids that would be my age and used to think they were me. Then she would be crying in public. It fucked with her mind a lot and made her depressed so she didn't want to do the same when she saw me, getting her hopes up like that. She says I look so much like my biological dad when he was younger though. We talked about him too. They stayed in contact with each other in case I ever reached out to one of them so it would be easier to contact the other. I didn't have hope about finding my biological dad since he was never mentioned so I'm glad they both planned for this future scenario. She told me about how they wanted to keep me. Especially my biological dad, he didn't want me to be adopted. But he knew they had to because they were just kids. It took him a long time to get past it after I was born she told me. That's why he didn't leave anything because he didn't want to believe he might not see me again. We talked for hours till almost 2 in the morning, they closed at 11. She just wanted to know everything about me, but her main thing was, am I happy? Were my parents good to me? Did I have a happy childhood? And I did. I told her thank you for helping to give me this life. We both cried again. She cried the most. Everything was very emotional for her. Sometimes she would look really happy but then get sad again. After my 18th birthday she was hoping I would find her, that's why she stayed in the same city. But since I didn't, she always thought maybe I resented her, wasn't told I'm adopted, or maybe had decided it was better not to have her around. It made me feel bad for not telling her sooner. She told me it's not my fault and I did right going at my own pace. Honestly, she's so sweet. The way she kept looking at me with the biggest smile, it made me emotional sometimes. Makes you think, how can someone who's been a total stranger your whole life look at you with so much love? It's wild. We learned so much about each other. She asked me if we could have dinner soon to keep talking. And if at some point in the future if I'm interested, come over to her house so I can meet her husband. That all sounded really great. We exchanged numbers. After I left she sent a text telling me thank you for giving her this gift that she didn't know if it would ever come. My girlfriend came over and she hugged me while I cried. I wasn't sad, by the way, these were happy tears. Everything went better than I expected. There was still emotionally heavy stuff, but I'm still glad that we got to open up to each other. Comments. I replying to a deleted comment, she asked me if I wanted her to let him know. We don't have to meet right away if I don't want to, but just so he's aware. He's been wanting to see me for a long time. I told her to tell him and we can meet up soon. My first actual meeting with her had me real pumped, so I thought, why not? I wanna see him too. Commenter. It's amazing to me how many of us, all around the world, in our cars, in bed, on break, at a coffee shop, are all reading the same news and crying or smiling or feeling a welling up of joy at about the same time. Update. Lots of you asked to let you know how it goes meeting my biological dad, and to say it was emotional is an understatement. I've been feeling so many things since this all happened. We met a few days ago. Was originally supposed to be almost 2 weeks ago, but shit kept coming up. Work, and then I got sick, not COVID, for days. But we made it happen. TBH, this was more nervous for me because I didn't know anything about him. With my bio mom it was different because I watched her from far and got to know her a little before it came out. I asked my bio mom if she could be there too, just because she knows him better, so it was the two of us waiting for him at this park. He was already crying before we even got to him. This guy is strong too, so he pulled me in for the biggest bear hug and crying. He told me he wants me to know that they loved me so much and he loves me. I lost count how many times he'd come back in for one more hug. This definitely got to him. And he kept saying thank you God a few times. Looking at my face. The feelings, man, the feelings. We had so many of them. Hearing him tell me how much they loved me even back then. It meant so much for me to hear that, and NGL that had me holding him tight too. I'm sure to everyone at the park it was weird seeing 3 crying people, lol. My bio dad said he cried so many times just driving over here he didn't think he had any more tears until he saw us. When we were all sitting down it hit me that my bio mom was not lying when she said we look alike, face with tears of joy. Obviously he's older, but still, holy shit, the similarities. He brought gifts too, which was a surprise. It was really nice. He told me I don't have to keep them if I don't want it, but he felt weird not coming with anything and he's wanted to give this to me for a long time. One was a teddy bear holding a picture frame of him at the hospital holding me. He was 15 years old, it's still crazy to realize that. And then the other thing was a journal. The journal thing was stuff he said he started writing to me years after I was adopted. He was in therapy and that helped him to cope, thinking he would give them to me one day. His way of still feeling connected to me. I haven't read everything yet, but some of the pages were his thoughts and like if he's talking to me. How he felt when they found out she was pregnant, then the adoption, everything going on in his mind when he first got to hold me as a baby. I didn't even know he was at the hospital too. It was not what I was expecting. It really got me. I read some more of what he wrote last night that really got me crying. I'm sad to think how much this affected them emotionally for years. Also think it's pretty sweet he wanted to write this for me. We talked about his own life, which was pretty hard. His struggles with home life and the feelings he had about giving me up. Then he wanted to know everything about me. Basically with the same questions my bio mom had. I made sure they knew they made the right decision. Because my life was pretty great. He looked like he wanted to cry when he knew that, because that's all they hoped for and it was something he always wondered about for years. My bio mom left a bit after we were more comfortable so we could talk more in private once it didn't feel too awkward between us. From there he told me stories about how he met my bio mom. Sometimes he'd point out stuff he noticed about me that reminds him of her or me and him having similar likes. Example, I love eating mangoes. I can eat them all day and that's what I bought when we bought snacks at the park. He told me my bio mom was obsessed with mangoes 7 before she got pregnant, while pregnant she craved it even more. Just cool info to know even if it's random stuff lol. It's still stuff we have in common and we both have lots. Both like hiking, playing pool, he was a swimmer in college and I was on a swim team in high school, both love rock music. Especially 90s. My bio dad was really open about sharing everything. Like he really was getting ready for this meeting. He hoped it would happen and he prayed every day to see me again because he had so many things he wanted to tell me. Overall really good first meeting. I'm glad how it went. He's open to the idea of meeting my parents. After I told them about all this because they definitely want to meet my bio parents again if I'm comfortable with that, obviously if my bio parents are too. Let's see when that happens. How it's gonna feel for me. They've met each other before I was even born but I never had them at the same place so that'll be interesting lol. Me and my parents met up yesterday to have breakfast so I could tell them everything. My mom was so happy how it went. She actually cried too when I was telling them about both their reactions. My dad was proud because he knew how hard it was the months after finding my bio mom and not really wanting to make contact yet. I'm really happy to have their support because it's hard not to feel guilty about wanting to know more my bio parents. They gave me a really good life so for a while it's felt like maybe to them I'm showing them that wasn't good enough for me and I'd rather have my bio parents. But they told me many times they want me to do this for me and to know how much I love them. And I really do. Finding them and meeting them was hard. But it was so worth it to me. And seeing their reactions made it feel even more worth it. Still can't believe it sometimes. I'm just realizing this has turned into a long post, my bad haha. Writing this has been therapeutic tbh. Kind of thinking back to everything that's happened. Feeling really grateful. Again wanna say thank you to everyone who has been on this journey with me. Everyone who sent me their own stories, their love, their encouragement. You guys have beautiful hearts and I'm happy I had somewhere to talk about all this and received so much love back. Just wanna say to all the adopted kids out there, I wish you guys luck and that you find what you're looking for. It's not easy at all. I feel fortunate that things didn't go badly or that my bio parents aren't bad people. And to all the birth parents out there who made this sacrifice, thank you, it's because of you there are kids out there like me who got to have a great life with loving parents. Comments. Commenter 1. I'm so happy for you. FYI, if you're ever looking for gift ideas for them, a photo album of pictures of you as a kid, growing up, would probably mean the world to them. With some blank pages at the end for all the new memories you'll make together, smiley face. Reply, oh wow, that's so cool. I love that idea. My parents got tons of pictures so that might work. Commenter 2, I'm genuinely so happy for you. I've followed all of your posts and each one makes me cry with happiness for you. You have 4 parents who have all only wanted the best for you and who love you with all of their hearts. Reply, yeah, it's amazing. Just knowing that these 4 people loved you and wanted you before you were even born. Stories number 2. Aita for laughing at my stepson and ruining his wedding. For context, I have been married to my husband for just over 20 years. We started dating when my stepkids were 5 and 3. Our kids are, Adam, 28, stepkid 1, Ben, 26, stepkid 2, Charles, 20, David, 17, and Ellie, 13. Adam is getting married at the end of summer to his fiancée Alice, 27. We have all been very excited for them. All of the kids have roles for the wedding. Charles is the best man, the other 2 boys are groomsmen, and Ellie is a JR bridesmaid. Last weekend we had a dinner for my husband's birthday, all of the kids attended along with Alice. The topic of the wedding came up again, and this is where it started to go downhill. Ellie brought up that she was so excited to go dress shopping and that we planned to go to a bigger city in a few weeks to get her a dress and me a stepmom of the groom dress. At that, Alice looked at Adam sideways and responded that we only needed to worry about one dress, Ellie's. Ellie kind of laughed and said, "What are you expecting mom to wear? A suit?" Alice responded with, "My name isn't going. You know we are keeping our guest list very limited to only family and a few close friends." What? Adam and Alice have been to our house numerous times for holidays, dinners, just to say hi since they've been engaged. This has never been brought up. Pretty quickly things escalated. The Cliff Notes version is that Charles asked them to clarify if they were choosing to uninvite me now or if I was never invited. Alice confirmed the latter. Why? Adam said it's because I'm not his mom. Charles, David, and Ellie argued with Adam and Alice that none of them were going to go if I wasn't invited. That it was cruel to leave me out given I've been his parent for a majority of his life and loved him like my own. My husband and I admittedly sat there for a minute just fucking shocked. Adam finally turned to my husband and said, well. My husband told him he wouldn't be going either. Adam then turned to me and asked if I was really going to let everyone ruin his wedding on my behalf. Here's where I might be the asshole, I just laughed. What came over me, but the entire thing was just so ridiculous that laughing was the only thing I could get out. I told my husband I'd be waiting in the car and left. And then promptly bawled my eyes out. Anyways, Charles, David and Ellie are not talking to Adam. Adam called my husband yesterday to try and smooth things over. He was still adamant I'm not invited and it's their wedding. He also requested I apologize for laughing at him. My husband told him tough shit. It's their wedding and they can invite whoever they want, but they can't control who will actually go. He said they owe me an apology and that Adam should be ashamed of himself. I'm getting texts now asking WTF I did and why I'm being a step monster and ruining the wedding. Some of comments. Commenter 1, I feel like there's a lot missing here. You've been married to his dad since he was 8. That was years of elementary, middle, high school, college. 20 years. Is his mother living? Did his fiancée influence him? Just seems odd to not invite his dad's wife of 20 years and call her not family. I don't think you're TA, but I just want to know more about the past 20 years. Reply, I am sorry, I had to cut out a lot for the character count to post. When Adam called, my husband did ask him if I had done anything, if it was related to bio mom, she has never gotten along with us, if I had overstepped in any way. Adam says no, it's just they want family only. Stepdad is invited as far as we know. I was a som for most of my stepkids' childhood and we had 50-50. My husband has always worked a lot but has been as involved as possible, the house and child rearing mostly fell to me though. I love our kids to pieces. I thought we had made it clear from the beginning that I was another parent that loves them, not a replacement mom. We've never had any issues and I thought up until now that we were particularly close. Our communication has slowed since he met Alice, but he was calling me about once or twice a week prior to this. Alice and I have gone shopping on occasion, gotten lunch, I even went with her to the florist for the wedding because her mom wasn't available and Adam got called into work. There has to be someone causing an issue and my husband and I are baffled. Commenter 2, is his mom invited? Reply, yes, as far as we've heard stepdad is also invited. My husband and I, have never gotten along with mom but still play nice as we still have 50-50 of younger stepson, Ben. Adam and his mom had a falling out a few years ago as she was starting to treat him the way she's always treated husband and I, that is, poorly. How to nicely explain other than she's a narcissist. Adam hasn't wanted to talk about it much and we won't push it. I know they talk and visit still but how close they are, I have no idea. Custody of Ben at 26. Yes, he is disabled. He can choose where he is staying as he likes but mostly sticks to a 50-50 schedule still unless there is a family event or vacation. He is pretty independent but not able to live on his own. Guardianship is probably a better word for what we have now instead of custody. Commenter 3, absolutely NTA. Assuming you and Adam have gotten along fine until now, it's absolutely wild that they wouldn't invite you. Only family and a few close friends, when a step-parent literally counts as family, and the nerve to accuse you of ruining his wedding, I don't blame you for laughing. Reply, it's probably also relevant but my husband's parents are long since deceased. My parents, dad, stepmom, and mom, have been very involved with all of the kids since they were little. They are also not going since if I am not family, they aren't either. My brother and Sil, their daughter, my cousin, they call him uncle, and several of my other family members that have been around since stepkids were little have also dropped. They are up to like 20 people. They have rescinded their yes RSVP for a wedding of maybe 60 people. Commenter 4, wait, hold up, your family was invited but not you? Then what the hell did Adam expect when it came out you're not invited? Reply, that's my family's take, why are they invited but I'm not? They aren't related to my stepkids by blood either but are apparently family. To be fair, my family is larger than my husband's, stepdad's, and bio mom's. My stepkids were the first grandkids on my side, they were not with bio mom and dad's families, and were absolutely spoiled rotten growing up. Charles is now supposed to meet Adam for coffee over the weekend. I've warned him that truly I don't think it's coming from Adam and to try to calm about it. Commenter 5, what is the nature of your relationship with Adam? Is his mother in the picture? Could his fiancée be in his ear? Reply, I thought we were particularly close, besides the normal teenager, I don't have to listen to you, BS phase we have never fought. We've always had him and Ben 50-50, as a teen and on he's butted heads with his mother. There have been times over the years where Adam had come to my husband and I and asked questions from things his mom has said, but we've always been forthcoming with info. X of that is that his mom called me a homewrecker. This upset Adam. Adam came pissed at us. Explained that no, bio mom and dad were long since broken up and mom even had a fiancé who was not current stepdad when I met dad. Hold receipts. Adam upset with mom. Blew over and on to the next thing. We still deal with bio mom though, and I do have a hard time believing she'd pull something at this point. Alice and I aren't super close but I thought had a good relationship. I have always tried to include her, sometimes she takes up my offer and sometimes she doesn't. I know she sees bio mom quite a bit and that side of Adam's family too. She was raised by her grandparents and does not talk about bio parents often. Commenter 6, how did Ben react to this? At this point I probably would not go to the wedding and would block his and his FW. They would have to grovel in order to go. They made it clear they don't see you as family so you don't need to do anything for them going forward. Reply, Ben was very upset and confused. He is autistic so what exactly the argument about doesn't quite click, but he's mostly upset. Adam says I'm not their parent and his siblings are all fighting. We've sat him down since and explained that I love him dearly and will never go anywhere, all of us love Adam and are just hurt, and that he himself can choose to go to the wedding or not. He doesn't have to choose sides and we will still love him if he goes. Honestly he probably will, he loves cake and dancing lol. He seems to be doing just fine since. He hasn't asked about Adam but will go to his mom's tomorrow and probably see him there. More info on everyone's relationships. It was hard to include every bit of context in the post because of the character limit, but I quit my job when Charles was 6 months old. Adam would have been 8, almost 9. No affair. I met my husband when he'd been divorced for over a year. Bio mom was engaged to someone else. If you ask their bio mom, she'll say I've always overstepped. If you ask her how, she'll give examples like I went to school events, so did stepdad, I helped with homework, I spent too much time with them. She would thank me for loving her kids so much and then turn around and berate my husband for me loving kids that aren't hers too much. Another example is that in the beginning she wanted to communicate with me directly more. Said she loved the communication and that I was easier to deal with than my husband. Next argument with my husband she brought up that I was weird and too involved and she shouldn't have to talk to me whatsoever. I haven't talked to her since. Periodically she has brought up that I was easier to talk to and she doesn't understand why communication just has to go through my husband. After several years of trying to appease her, we quit to just focus on keeping our family happy and supported. It's been 23 years now of dealing with her. I've been to therapy multiple times to resolve whatever issues she says I have. It did help with strategies to deal with her. Truly it's just that she has mental issues. Their dad did work a lot, he has always been on nights. It's changed slightly over the years but we had stepkids Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every other Monday. His days off have always fell over those days so he can spend the max amount of time with them, but usually he worked 1 to 2 of those nights. Very rarely would he work OT on days we had my stepkids, usually on days we didn't. We still currently try to do dates on days when Ben is not with us. I hope that makes sense and clears up some questions for you. Commenter 7, are Alice's parents still together? Has she assumed you're some kind of evil stepmother? Does she have a bad relationship with her stepmom and doesn't want to invite her? Reply, her mom and dad are her grandparents. She hasn't talked about it much with me specifically but her bio mom is deceased, drugs, and her bio father's in prison. She's talked about it some with my husband, who was adopted by his aunt and uncle, father not in the picture and mother died from cancer when he was 4. My stepmom has also talked with her at one point because she too was adopted by her grandparents for similar reasons. It just adds to our confusion. We have such a mix of types of family regardless of blood that my MIL has been laying it on thick that I need to smooth things over because family is family, and I'm the parent so it's my responsibility to fix it. But fuck. I'm not ready to talk to Adam. Edit. Sorry, my mother LOL my MIL is deceased. One more thought from OOP in response to a longer comment. Thank you for your thoughtful comment. Adam will always be my first son, whether he thinks of me as his mom or not. I thought we had been pretty clear throughout the years that I love him, regardless of what he thinks of me, and that my involvement extends to whatever he wants of me in some fair non-negotiable, mostly safety things, chores his dad agreed on when I asked, that kind of thing. I couldn't get in with my therapist this week but I do have an appointment next week, and we will try to formulate a well-thought-out response back. I am certainly not a perfect person or parent but I won't intentionally sabotage him further. I do love a good revenge story but that's not it when it comes to my kids. I've talked to the youngest 3 and they have reassured me that it's their choice whether or not they go, and I won't push them on it. I have been reminding them that he is still their brother and it doesn't sound like him, mostly for Charles. He is very outspoken and protective. Charles is supposed to meet with him this weekend and I'm hoping we'll get some clearer answers from that. Update post. Before I give an update, I just want to answer a few frequently asked questions. I am not an affair partner. My husband did not cheat on his ex-wife with me. We met about a year after they divorced. She was already engaged, not to current stepdad, not that that really matters. Ben was at the dinner. He is autistic. I went into it more in some of my comments, but he was very upset. He doesn't understand what the argument was exactly about, but he was mostly upset at Adam for saying I'm not their parent and then at all the siblings for fighting with each other. Anyways, the update. The short is, if you guessed it was related to biomom, you were correct. I didn't want this to be the case. Adam rescheduled with Charles for Monday, citing Easter weekend, fair enough. He also texted my husband to let him know that him and Alice would be doing Easter with her parents. We expected that. At some point on Sunday, Ellie texted Alice. I am not sure what exactly was said, but it prompted Alice to spill everything that was going on with her parents. I have met them a few times but they live a few hours away. They encouraged her and Adam to reach out to us to clear everything up. Monday we dropped Ben off to Biomom's. He stayed an extra night for Easter fun. A few hours later, she began to blow up my husband's phone as Ben mentioned the fight. My husband answered one call in which she was screaming and promptly hung up. He texted her that the siblings argued, everything is fine, and that if Ben has any further questions we will talk about when he's back with us. From some of the things she texted, we knew she was the root of all of this. Monday Adam also met up with Charles, and he did come clean. Charles texted us to see if it was okay if they came over after and we said yes. I'm not going to lie, Adam looked a mess. He immediately began crying and apologizing. The short and sweet is that he's been trying to mend bridges with Biomom. Their wedding isn't 60 people, it's blown up to about double that and they have been struggling to figure out how to pay for it. At one of their visits, Alice let it slip and Biomom jumped to help pay for things. It slowly snowballed from there, from small requests to big requests. I am not sure what the final nail in the coffin was, but it ended with Biomom requesting I not be there. Adam said it was easier to hurt me and risk WW3 with his mom. Alice's parents were less than pleased to find out how they've been with the wedding budget, and even less so at Biomom's antics. They are trying to figure out how to start covering the payments Biomom has made. We've decided to help some with this. Adam also asked if we could meet again in a few days with Alice and we've said yes. There is still a lot of ground to cover for this to be close to mended. I am still hurt but mostly, I'm angry on behalf of my oldest son. Update post. It's been a while but I have an update. I did post a prior update already, but it was taken down for not a clear enough resolution. Aita still won't allow my update, something about this post still being a midway point, and that posting an update on own profile counts as my Aita update. I don't know. So here's the longer, unfiltered version of that update. To catch everyone up really quick, Adam came over to have a convo with us after talking to Charles. He's been reconnecting with his mother over the last year and she's the real root of everything. It started with small requests as they got closer, then she's paying for things at the wedding, and escalated to me being uninvited. About a week after that, Adam and Alice came over for another convo. Husband and I read through all of your comments and already had a game plan. We explained that while we love them to bits and forgive them, this is still a big fuck up and they need to hold themselves accountable for 1. The mess with Biomom and 2. How they treated me. It wasn't just about the dinner. It was also about the months they allowed ex-wife to shit-talk me to them. We would not be bailing them out financially for this. I haven't pried into too many details, but Adam had a talk with his mom. She was calm and agreed to everything he said, suspicious. Mostly that they will not exclude me from future events or tolerate any unkind words about me moving forward. Him and Alice cancelled their wedding. They got back a good portion of their money, mostly to pay back Biomom. When he tried to drop off a check to her, she absolutely lost it. Adam hasn't wanted to talk much about the things that were said, but he has told us they are currently no contact. I won't say the exact date, but Adam and Alice asked us all to meet for dinner. We got there and Alice's parents' siblings were there too. It wasn't just dinner. They eloped. We got to go to the courthouse with them and then celebrate with them after. They seemed so happy. 3 days later, Hubs was at work and I was coming home from errands when I got a very panicked call from Ellie. Ex-wife was outside, pounding on our door and screaming her head off. I gave Ellie instructions and then called 911. I then called my husband. When I got there, ex-wife was already detained. She hadn't broken in but had damaged the outside of our door and the siding surrounding it. And she was still screaming. The stuff she was saying was absolutely vile and most of the reason I haven't wanted to update. It was everything from that she hates me and it's my fault Adam won't talk to her, to stealing my kids from me won't replace the ones you lost. After that comment I tuned out the rest until she was placed in the back of a cop car. It's important context but we've had several miscarriages, one of which I know ex-wife knew about. What I really think she was getting at is the baby we had in between David and Ellie, who was full term and stillborn. I still don't understand how anyone could say something so awful and carry so much hate. Putting it out there is hard and honestly I don't have much comment on it other than I'm lucky to have the husband I do. Some of the charges we declined to pursue, some the PD will be pursuing regardless if we ask them to or not. She is already bailed out but our restraining order has been granted pending a court date with the judge. From the bits and pieces we hear, ex-wife's family has put her on lockdown. Her brother works for the department that arrested her so this has been quite the talk of the town. We have not heard from her since, and her mother has told my husband we absolutely won't be hearing from her or having any other issues. We have been doing exchanges for Ben with stepdad. Stories number 3. Aita for telling my sister-in-law I don't have to treat her kids like they're mine and setting boundaries while I'm pregnant. Alright y'all, let me get this off my chest because I'm tired. So, I, 25F, never really wanted kids before. Wasn't a fan of other people's kids either if I'm being real. But life happens. I'm married, 26M, and now we're expecting our first baby soon. Since getting pregnant, my feelings changed about my child, but that doesn't mean I signed up to play mama to anybody else's. Now, my SAL, 36F, has 3 kids, a 4M, a 7M, and a 9F. She's a single mom, works full-time Monday through Friday respect to her hustle. But the problem is, out of everybody in this family, my husband, MIL, FIL, cousins, aunties, uncles, she constantly calls and asks me to babysit. Nobody else, just me, and doesn't offer no money. Even though I work part-time from home and I'm heavily pregnant. The issue popped off recently at a bonfire barbecue. She asked me to help out with her kids while she went off to drink and run her mouth with the other adults. I ain't mind for a little bit because I was sitting down and not doing anything, but she straight up disappeared for over 2 hours. Left me chasing a 4-year-old who's damn near my height and not potty trained. I can't even bend down without feeling like I can't breath, a 7-year-old who's nonverbal for the most part and says random stuff he picks up off Bluey, and a 9-year-old who's actually a sweet girl and tried to help me manage her siblings. When she finally came back, she had the nerve to joke, "You'd be a better mom than me girl, claim them as yours." I kinda laughed it off and passed her kids back, but later she kept pressing the issue, talking about, "We family now, you should step up so you can practice." So I told her, I love them as my niece and nephews, but they will never be mine. I'm glad I can pass them back when it's time. That's when she got mad and started saying slick, racist shit about me and my baby, talking about how I sit on my ass while she works, calling my people lazy, and saying this baby is just gonna be another burden. Whole time I'm damn near 8 months pregnant, can barely get around, exhausted, and dealing with all this. And get this, my husband and MIL took her side saying I should help family and that I was being cold. My husband even told me I didn't marry somebody so selfish they wouldn't help family. But here's the kicker, my sweet niece tried to help me calm down her brothers, get them snacks and stuff while I was struggling, and they had the audacity to tell her, "No, your auntie can do it, she's the adult." Like what? I finally snapped and told my husband and his family to STFU, leave me alone, or I'll go back to my home state where my people actually got me, since me and my baby is such a burden, because this whole situation is stressing me out to the point I feel like I'm gonna end up in early labor. So tell me, Ada, 4. 1. Saying I don't have to parent her kids. 2. Standing up against her racist, out-of-pocket remarks about me and my unborn child. 3. Prioritizing my health and setting boundaries while I'm this pregnant, because at this point it feels like I'm the only one in this damn family with sense, and I'm tired of getting dragged for not being a doormat. Stories number 4. I let my friend move in rent-free. She complained I didn't have snacks. I let an old friend from high school, Leah, move in with me temporarily. She claimed that she was going through a rough patch and her lease ended, work was unstable, plus she posted one of those dramatic, "guess I'll just live in my car" Instagram stories. I reached out because I had the space and figured I could help. I told her she could stay for a bit, no rent, just little help around the apartment and chip in for utilities when she could. She was super grateful at first, told me I was literally saving her life. That lasted maybe 48 hours and she opened my fridge and went, "Wow. You really don't keep anything healthy in this place." "Sorry ma'am, I didn't realize being a free guest came with dietary expectations." A few days later, she brought a guy over without giving me heads up. They made dinner, left the dishes in the sink overnight, and when I mentioned it, she hit me with, "I thought you said I could treat this like home." Apparently, That meant my home, her rules. Then came the utilities talk. I casually mentioned the internet and water bills, and she literally laughed. You can't be serious. I'm barely using anything. Right. Except she was taking 40-minute showers twice a day. One afternoon, she texts me while I'm at work and asks if I can swing by Whole Foods. Said she just needs a few things. Sends me a list of 8 items. Almond butter, oat milk, those $9 pressed juices, not one thing under $6. I asked if she could Venmo me and she replied with, "You know I'm low on cash right now, don't be insensitive." No apology. No offer to pay later. Just pure entitlement. And then the cherry on top was when she invited 3 friends over for a low-key girls' night, didn't ask, didn't tell me. Just assumed. And then she had the nerve to say, "Hey, would you mind staying at your boyfriend's that night? So we can spread out." At that point, I told her she had a week to make other arrangements. She got offended and said I was acting like a landlord. No, Leah. Landlords charge rent. I was just your unpaid concierge, maid, and emotional support fridge. She left the next day. Took my portable blender as payment, but that's alright so long she's gone for good. Stories number 5. Aita for bringing my fiancé to Christmas despite my famous cousin's wishes. My cousin is very famous, yes, you have heard of him, and no, I won't tell you who he is, we'll call him Terry. When we have family functions, mainly for holidays, Terry likes for them to be only family so he can be himself and get drunk and pass out on the couch and share Hollywood gossip with us. Otherwise he feels like he is being interviewed and having everyone talk to him or want a picture, and he has to be in promo mode. He said it's because he was tired of having to meet strangers and not be able to let loose, and there were some issues of these partners taking pics of him or spreading gossip. I hated this at first because I would be dating some chick and she would want to get to meet him and it's awkward to tell them they can't come to family events and they get mad that they never get to meet him. My Tinder has a pic of me with Terry. But I get it, so I was fine with it until this year. I began dating this chick in August. I couldn't bring her to Thanksgiving, fine. But when I walk in, I see another cousin, Danielle, has brought her boyfriend, Steve, even though they've been together for less than a year. They got together over New Year's and engaged on Halloween. Terry was fine with this because he's met Steve before, old family friend, even though I've been told that no exceptions are allowed to his rule. Thanksgiving sucked because the whole time I was mad that I once again wasn't allowed to bring my girlfriend. My girlfriend consoled me after and I realized that she is my soul mate. 2 weeks ago, I proposed and we got engaged. Christmas was at my aunt's. I'm a believer in ask for forgiveness, not permission, so I brought my fiancée because she had nowhere else to go and I wanted her to meet my family. We walk into the house and all hell breaks loose. Everyone was asking who she was and scolding me about the rules, and Terry flipped out. He was already buzzed, and looked 20 pounds heavier than he usually presents himself, and started yelling at me for doing this to him. He didn't seem excited at all about my engagement or willing to introduce himself to her. Our grandma was telling Terry to get over it and asking to see the ring and saying she wished she had gotten my fiancé a gift, so grandma was on my side. But Terry was still arguing with me and said I shouldn't be allowed at any more events, and he ended up calling an Uber Black and leaving before we even ate. To top it all off, my uncle, who has never even liked Terry, got upset because apparently Terry was his secret Santa so he didn't get a gift, so my uncle started blaming me for ruining Christmas. I get they are mad, but it was clear there was an exception for fiancés and I'm embarrassed that my family was so rude to her when I just didn't want her to be alone on Christmas. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. ESH, you could have asked. You could also not use your famous cousin as a pic on Tinder. Reply. My matches skyrocket when I have a picture with him. Just trying to level the playing field on the apps as a guy. Commenter 2. Edit. Went from ESH to YTA based on new informations. Did the family know ahead of time about the engagement? I didn't tell them about the engagement because I knew they would be critical because my previous engagements didn't end up working out. Commenter 3. How many times have you been engaged? Reply. Twice before, once when I was 19 and an idiot so that didn't work out. Then again later on and I thought she was the one, but it ended when she sent a story about my cousin to TMZ to make a quick buck. Hence Terry's rule. Commenter 4. YTA, it sounds like this was the first meeting of a fiancé you have been with for very few months. Trying to compare to the other cousin's relationship is pointless, you said it yourself, they have met Terry a few times. Basically you use his profile pic on Tinder, then wonder why he doesn't want fangirls trying to meet him at family functions. You would rather ask for forgiveness than permission, so decided not to discuss it all. At what point would you not be TA? Reply. If I had told them, they would have told me not to come or Terry wouldn't have shown up and everyone would have been sad cause he's the favorite, and my new fiancée isn't like my previous ones, she's definitely not a fangirl and has only asked a few times about getting a pic with him. Commenter 5. Why would she need a pic with your cousin? Reply. She's a photographer model, so it'd be good if she could take pics of with him, but it's not like a priority or anything, just like, oh wow, when I get to meet him I'd love to get a pic with all of us. And the top guess who the cousin is. Commenter 6. Most popular guess is Chris Evans. Op mentioned superhero before he deleted the comment. Also Op being from Massachusetts and some other clues. OP deleted a comment about how other PPL use dogs and babies to get dates on apps and he uses pics with superheroes. Also Op denied that it's Chris Evans, which makes me think it is Chris Evans. Well, it's definitely an actor who plays a superhero who likes to do things with his family. Also the story leaked to TMZ was an incident where many people close to cousin Terry was at, which tracks with what was leaked about Chris Evans on TMZ a few years back. Another thing leaked was some plot point about a movie, which makes me think of the Marvel movies. Also the OP repeatedly denying that it's not Chris Evans just makes me think it is Chris Evans. OP hasn't responded to much except to deny that it was not Chris Evans. Who knows? Update, reading the comments, there's a mixed response, but it looks like the consensus leans towards I was the asshole. So yeah, I probably could have handled it a bit better. And people are writing me for not including every detail in the post, but there was a word limit. Also, I am not from Massachusetts and had never heard the term masshole before posting this. The username is from Christmas, the holiday, and asshole. Nobody has correctly guessed who Terry is and I won't respond to any more guesses. And I don't use his picture to get girls. I literally have a Raya, so I have no issues in that department. Anyway, nobody talked to me yesterday, but I found out this morning that all is fine. Terry called me to apologize for making a scene and congratulated me on my engagement, and I accepted his apology. He also told me he went back and visited with family yesterday and gave my uncle his gift from Secret Santa so Christmas isn't ruined for him. As for my fiancée, she handled it all really well, even though it was an awkward way to meet my family, and my aunt made rude comments about her outfit. She also had the idea that we should have the family over for New Year's to make it up to them. So yeah, everybody was a bit dramatic, but no harm was done. Final comments. Commenter 1. The important thing right now, did you apologize for being a major AH? Terry didn't owe you an apology. The rules are ultimately for his safety and you broke them because you are a selfish AH. So did you apologize? Because you're the one that owes him an apology. And seriously, get rid of that picture you use of him to get yourself laid. That's just gross. Commenter 2. There was not a mixed response in the slightest. The response doesn't lean towards YTA. Almost everyone thinks YTA, and those who don't think ESH, admit your mistake. Stories number 6. AITA for refusing to go to my cousin's no phone allowed wedding after what happened at her baby shower. Okay, so for context, I, 26F, have this cousin, Marcy, 31F. She's always been a bit extra. Like Pinterest board level extra. Everything has to match, there's always a theme, and she acts like she's an influencer even though the only thing she's influencing is the family group chat to go silent for days. Anyway, she's getting married next month and she sent out these super fancy invites with a whole no phones allowed rule. Like, strictly no phones, not just for the ceremony, she means the whole day. From when we arrive to when we leave. She even hired someone to collect devices at the entrance. I wouldn't mind honestly, if not for what happened at her baby shower. Picture this, she had a country chic baby shower last year. Mason jars, hay bales, the whole 9 yards. I show up in jeans and a nice blouse because I didn't get any dress code memo. Apparently, we were all supposed to wear light pastels. She made me sit at the non-photogenic table with the kids and elderly because my outfit didn't match. Like, what? I'm not even making this up. Then, she had this moment where she announced the baby's name with sparklers and a drone overhead. Again, she thinks she's a Kardashian. Everyone's supposed to cheer on cue and throw confetti. Guess what? The pictures came out ugly because someone's aunt had her phone out in the background. It was me. Just holding it. Didn't even snap a pic. Just holding my phone. She later sent a long message in the group chat about how some people ruined her big reveal. Fast forward to now. She's mad I RSVP'd no to the wedding. I just don't feel like getting publicly shamed again for breathing wrong in her carefully curated aesthetic. Also, I kind of need my phone during the day. I have a dog with anxiety and I'm my friend's emergency contact for her kid. She called me dramatic and said I'm holding a grudge over something that wasn't a big deal. My aunt, her mom, says I'm being selfish and that it's just one day. My mom's neutral but did say, I don't blame you, but don't post about it. Too late, mom. So AITA for saying I'm not going to a phone-free wedding because I feel weird and uncomfortable after the way she treated me before. Also, side note, if she wanted to live in a phone-free fantasy land, maybe don't post every waking moment of your life on IG with inspirational captions like, let go of the negative energy, right after sending a passive-aggressive group text. Let me know if I'm being too petty. I'm open to hearing it. Stories number 7. AIT4, letting my ex-BF dump me when he thought I had massive debt. I have been keeping an Excel workbook for years that I use to organize my personal finances. Every month it shows the total expenses, total paid, and total remaining. It's not only helpful for budgeting and remembering when stuff is due but also removed a ton of anxiety I have around money and the nightmares I used to have that I would forget to pay something important. I used to have panic attacks, but they were cured by Excel. Every month I put about half the money I make into savings, IRA, HSA, vacation savings, quarterly tax savings, and emergency fund. My only debt is about $500 of a surprise $1,500 vet bill and my car loan, which has a payment of $200 per month and which will be paid off next year. I could pay off the car and vet right now, but having an emergency cushion that could pay all my bills for 3 to 5 months makes me feel safe. I give myself a weekly allowance of $150 that I can spend however I want, dates, movies, going out with friends, etc. Since my ex and I were becoming a little more serious after 6 months, we had a discussion where we decided that if things progressed our finances would be separated and if we moved together, we would both pay half of all expenses. This would save us both a lot of money monthly. Well, he used my laptop, where I keep the Excel document minimized. He accidentally brought it up and here is where the conflict began. I put everything on my credit card every month. I really want to be able to travel and getting mile rewards is the only way I can justify the expensive flights to the places I really want to explore. I put everything, rent, groceries, gas, utilities, even my quarterly taxes on it. Last year I was even able to redeem a ticket for a friend to go with me to France. I covered all the flights as well as half the Airbnb. I can't put the car payment or vet bill on the card but everything else goes on my miles card, which I then pay off a couple days after paying my bills when the balance settles. I put the amount that would generally equal my credit card balance after paying bills in the spreadsheet as well, mainly as a reminder to pay the balance because I'm paranoid that I'll forget to pay it 1 month. Remember, this is a therapeutic spreadsheet. However, he saw all my expenses laid out and the total at the bottom and thought my expenses were nearly double what they are, since the total includes the credit card payment. I guess he also assumed that the credit card payment was the monthly payment or something which would have made the balance insane. He also noted that I had Macy's, VS Secret, and Best Buy lines in the spreadsheet and he assumed I had maxed out retail cards. Although the amount to pay was at 0, I just leave them to remind me of the due date is in case I use them to get something discounted. So he stewed on it for a few days, and then sat me down, said that he had been thinking about what he found, and told me that he couldn't stay with me if I was going to be irresponsible, and that if I didn't start calling every credit card I had right then in front of him to cancel, and shred the cards in front of him, then he would break up with me. He kept talking over me about it. I tried to tell him about my savings and the fact that my actual debt was less than $4,000. He didn't believe me, called me a liar and said he couldn't trust me, so he dumped me. I cried with some friends who were shocked since I have sat down with several of them who have asked to help set up a similar system of their own to help pay down debt and start saving. I guess the truth got back to him. He was mad that I let him break up with me. Even though he makes more than me, I am much better off than him apparently, and he is really upset since if we moved in together, I would have been completely capable of covering my half and he would have liked that I had a pretty large chunk in savings. I had also told him I would get us both tickets to Italy for our 1-year anniversary. I honestly don't know if I am TA or not. I could have explained the situation more clearly and calmly and been a little more forthcoming and transparent with my finances from the start. However, the moment I was confronted I felt completely blindsided, I felt like my privacy had been violated, and I felt that receiving an ultimatum without even hearing me out was a deal breaker for me. But now my friends are expressing that I may be passing up a nice guy over a misunderstanding, and that if his assumptions were correct, he would have been right. I feel like I don't want to spend time with someone who would talk to me that way, but maybe I should work a little harder to make it work. Stories number 8. My 27F, GF, 30F, hasn't had a job in 4 years and it's wearing me down. I started a LDR with a girl I met through a friend, which lasted about a year, and culminated her moving across state lines to be with me in the city. Everything was great, and we were truly in love with each other. Because she moved across state lines, and because she expressed the desire to leave her toxic field of choice and try her hand at something more banal, I agreed to take on the burden of supporting her for a while until she had a job. She would take on most of the cleaning and groceries etc. while I was at work. I even agreed to sleep on a mattress in the kitchen because she had chronic insomnia problems and required very specific constraints under which she got sleep. I could not tolerate these while working. I feel like I've done everything I could for her, including taking care of her expensive medical needs, which destroyed my savings. After around 1.5 to 2 years, I started to develop an anxiety disorder under the stress of supporting her. What had at first been something I was willing to do out of kindness and love quickly became a consent issue, and has turned into a burden. Fast forward to now, 4 years after she came to the city, and still no job. I am a nervous wreck, and I feel completely emotionally run down by the burden of supporting her. I've destroyed my body by putting on weight due to the stress as well. I used to be pretty happy and carefree, but now I'm just depressed and anxious all the time. We have a non-existent intercourse life because my intercourse drive has tanked completely. I don't know what to do because I still love her and we have a loving romantic relationship otherwise. She's never really done anything wrong, if that makes sense. She's been loving, helpful, and genuinely seems affected by not succeeding in finding a job and helping shoulder the burden. I never really cared for my mental health much before, but it's really starting to affect me. I've become emotionally unstable, and sometimes the stress and resentment come through in my interactions with her. The hardest part about this is that I can tell she's trying and just failing. I've tried to help and I've been rebuffed several times and only able to help a bit, but otherwise, she hasn't done anything wrong. If she has, I haven't been able to tell what she's doing wrong in particular, because I can't and don't want to be there 24/7 to monitor every job application. But I am resentful because I feel like I've sacrificed everything from my body to my mental health to make this relationship happen, but it's just not happening. What do I do? To make it clear, this is a big, deal-breaking issue for me that I've told her is my primary source of stress and anxiety. I don't see much change, and I think she's too ashamed at this point to give me updates, which just compounds my stress because of the radio silence. TLDR LDR girlfriend turned IRL hasn't had a job in 4 years and I've gone from happy to anxious wreck supporting her. What do? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. How is she failing? To what kind of work is she applying? What field did she leave? I understand you love her and want this to work. Based on what you said, this isn't her taking advantage, she's just having a hard time. However, you are too and there needs to be a solution if you want to stay together. Why can't she take something just while she searches? I imagine the 4-year gap is working against her, she might need to start from scratch. Also, you need help. As in, help taking care of yourself and your finances. If she can't get it together, maybe she needs to go home for a while so you can get a break. Your emotional state, I don't know if you're insured, but perhaps speak to a therapist. Good luck, friend. Reply. How is she failing? To what kind of work is she applying? What field did she leave? She has an MBA, but she doesn't seem to be getting any responses from recruiters, and hasn't been to a single interview in the 4 years. She left politics after 13 years, starting from teen volunteer, so this is a huge shift. I believe she's applying to director-level or senior-level positions, but I can't confirm it. I know that this would be a huge error if it were true, but like I said, I'm trying not to micromanage how and where she applies to, hoping she'd do the right thing on her own. Based on what you said, this isn't her taking advantage, she's just having a hard time. I'm inclined to agree with this. I'm fine with temp jobs, but I previously asked that she not take a minimum wage hourly role, because I thought it'd be a waste of time and a bit of a cop-out given her experience and degree. That may have been a mistake. Also, you need help. As in, help taking care of yourself and your finances. If she can't get it together, maybe she needs to go home for a while so you can get a break. Your emotional state, I don't know if you're insured, but perhaps speak to a therapist. We've done the week-long break thing before, but it seems like I need it every quarter or so to stay sane, which is a big ask. I am insured and I've recently started going to a therapist where I'll be talking about this stuff. I've previously asked GF to go to couples therapy, but she's against it. Additional comment from me. You can be a safety blanket but not an enabler. I believe I made a mistake which aired into the enabler territory. I was expecting that if I removed all barriers to success, then she would be successful. However, that didn't seem to have an effect on the outcome, and I wound up failing to advocate for myself instead. Talk to her OP, set expectations and time-bound goals. I spoke to her tonight about professional career counseling. She is going tomorrow to see one. This weekend, I'm going to review her applications and resume. In the meantime, I've set a 2 to 3 month deadline. Technically, January is her 4-year anniversary. We haven't spoken about concrete splits, but I did make it very clear that 4 years is unacceptable, and that, while my thinking has been, when she gets a job, I've started to think about what happens if she doesn't get a job, and I think the situation calls for breaking up, because it's simply not healthy for me, mentally or physically. Has she taken online courses, certifications, free self-directed resources or improvement books? Mock interviews. Networking cold emails. We've been over certifications and online courses. At one point I pointed her in the direction of project management certifications, but she didn't show interest in following through with the certs. She does not network, but she does do cold emails, and tries to work with recruiters. No mock interviews. 4 years is not an acceptable gap, she needs to start. She needs to be held accountable with follow-through and or deal with repercussions. You know she can flourish. I agree I haven't been good on accountability, but I think we're at that point. Update. TLDR, broke up. She was taking advantage in the last 2 years. I posted about a 4-year relationship causing me mental, emotional and physical health problems due to said partner failing to find a job or contribute to the finances in any meaningful way. I made the post at the height of the COVID in my area, trying to keep the relationship alive. At the time, we had moved to a new state and a smaller town to live more cheaply, and to help address my physical needs that couldn't be met in the city with everything and everyone locked down. Things were good for a few months. However, the job question came back again. I was working full-time, and had taken on new responsibilities for keeping myself in shape, working hard to lose the weight. That's when I noticed she was just kind of existing. She wasn't excited about anything in the area, and wasn't doing much to find jobs. I had a talk with her in October, and we agreed that perhaps my request that she find a salaried 9 to 6 job could be relaxed, and part-time would be sufficient to help out. After all, I only needed 2 things from her: space from time to time, and her to help out in any way she could with the finances. The first of 2 final straws occurred that winter. I was working to build a new business from scratch, and I had to leave my job in order to do it, which meant around 4 months of negative income. It was going to be tight, but she agreed to help support by finding an easy job. This support never came. She couldn't do it, or didn't want to. I began to notice it felt more like the latter. As a result, we barely made rent in February, thanks to my taking on contract work on the side, effectively working 2 jobs. We had a huge fight in February over this. I wasn't willing to be that close to being homeless just because she didn't want to work a job that was beneath her qualifications. I made it explicit that this was a deal breaker for me, and that I would not move an inch in the relationship until she started contributing in the way we discussed. She agreed. Another 5 months went by with no job. At this point, frustrated with her lack of success, she asks me to move with her to her hometown and move in with her parents while she looks for a job where she had a network. I flat out refused and we went on break. I moved to a new state and hoped that maybe some space would allow me to think clearly about the relationship. By September this year, I realized I felt completely happy to be on my own, and stress-free. We broke it off completely. To my knowledge, she still doesn't have a job as of this post. I feel used, emotional, physically, and financially abused, and hurt by how casually someone could run me into the ground like this. But I also feel hopeful about myself, and I'm seeing a therapist who's helping me unpack it all. Further, my business was worth it, and it's taken off and given me enough time and space to deal with all of this while maintaining a healthy lifestyle. Overall, the biggest downer is I feel like I've just wasted 5 years of my life with someone who I'm fairly sure was a subtle abuser the whole time. It hurts to say it, but the way I always felt like the bad guy, or the way she would guilt-trip me and keep me from my friends' bad news. I'll never let anyone do this to me again. Stories number 9. Aita for getting my friend's GF arrested after she got drunk and broke things in our house. Hi guys, this is a bit of a long story so, for some background, a few months ago my best friend Mark, 27M, moved his girlfriend Heather, 25F, in with us. My wife, Cindy, 27F, and I, 26M, were okay with this. Mark and I have been friends since elementary school. Right before Heather moved in she got herself pretty drunk that ended in a screaming match with her sister and throwing things at Mark. We weren't too happy with this, but Mark said he talked to her, and she wouldn't get to that point again. Well, on to the story. 2 weeks ago we were all hanging out and having some drinks. Mark and Heather were going a little crazy but they're adults so whatever. Well, Cindy and I decided we were going start on dinner since Heather was pretty unintelligible and it was like 9 p.m. Mark started also working on dinner so I hung out in the living room while Cindy went to our room. Heather goes into their room, then she comes back out and heads outside for like 20 minutes, I asked if she was good and got a small mumble. Heather comes back in, goes into the kitchen and then back into their room again. At this point Mark is done making their dinner and goes into their room. Mark comes out and sits with me in the living room and we are talking about my brother's upcoming bachelor party. We then hear banging coming from their room. Mark went to go check on Heather but she had blocked the door. He convinced her to open it and he went in. Heather starts screaming and yelling, continuing to slam things around. After about 10 minutes of hearing Heather yelling and Mark trying to calm her down I went in and told Heather she needed to calm down. She starts yelling some really weird and extremely racist things, that I won't put here. Heather is half Hispanic half African American BTW. She starts getting louder and tearing things off the walls. I told her she needed to go outside to calm down. She refused and started picking up their bed and slamming it down. I told her if she didn't stop we would call the cops so she could go calm down somewhere else and wasn't tearing things up. She just got louder and slammed the bed even more. I told Cindy to call the cops and tell them we needed Heather gone for the night. 2 cops show up and ask the 3 of us to step outside while they try and talk to Heather, who just continues yelling. Then it gets a little quiet and I can see through our screen door. I see Heather try punching one of the cops. 5 minutes later 7 more cops show up. They all run inside and we can hear Heather screaming and yelling still. 10 minutes later they bring her outside in one of those cop body suit things they use when someone is struggling and won't stop. They put her in one of the cars and are standing talking to each other. We can hear them saying that she got combative, threw stuff which hit a cop and tried hitting one of them. They cart her off and tell us themselves she is being arrested and ask if we want to press charges. Since she didn't do anything to us we said no. The cops left and we cleaned up the mess in the living room and then hung out with Mark to make sure he was okay. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, yes YTA for not pressing charges. Without that Mark is going to think it's okay to have her back in your house, even if you tell him no he may have her around when you are not home. Mark may be your friend but Heather is not, and who cares about Mark's feelings about your property? Is Mark going to pay for the damages his, hopefully GF incurred? Without pressing charges you'll have to sue her for damages and a judge is going to ask why you didn't press charges. She'll certainly get jail time for trying to assault an officer and resisting arrest, but pressing charges would add to her jail time and having to compensate you for damages. And would teach her a hard lesson she needs to learn. And Mark needs a new GF. He's the AH for asking if she could move in knowing her history of violence. Reply, before the cops left all we had noticed was the papers all over the living room and her own stuff she had trashed in their room. So, no we didn't feel like pressing charges over some papers and her own stuff that got messed up. Commenter 2, did you at least have her trespassed so she can't come back? Let her in with a cop standing by so she can get her stuff, then have her be gone for good. If her boyfriend doesn't like it, he can go too. Reply, she had a no-contact order placed against her by the DA and when she comes to get her stuff an officer will be there at the same time. Cindy got the number of the DA so we can request that. Commenter 3, I think you should let Mark know that she has an anger issue when she drinks and if this happens again neither of them will be living there. He needs to realize that she needs help. If he says anything but I agree, you might need to rethink Mark living with you. I have a feeling she will be back and will create more of a problem. Reply, I tried talking to him after he decided he was going to stay. He has past trauma from an ex-stepdad doing the same thing to his mom but apparently Mark isn't ready to listen. I can't force him, so I have to just step back and watch him crash and burn while she steers. Any chances that Mark might be insane too? Is he going to break up with Heather? Reply, he's insane too. He's moving out with her. Commenter 4, why would you allow this toxic shit in your life? Like WTF is this, the 90s show Cops? Get those people out of your house and out of your life. Your friend let his GF move in, did you all discuss it first? How is he dating someone so volatile? Or is this all super normal in your neck of the woods? OOP, obviously, I don't allow it since the cops were called and she has been banned from my house. It was discussed first and he promised he had talked to her and that she would watch her drinking and make sure she acted right. I believed him, which was a mistake. OOP responds to a commenter on drinking heavily and not being smart on how much to drink. Reply, who said regularly drinking heavily? We're adults who are allowed to have an occasional drink. My wife and maybe had 4 drinks between us. Touch grass for Christ's sake and maybe you should grow the F up. If you think that's heavy drinking then maybe you have a heavy drinking problem and should reevaluate your life. Update, that blew up faster than I thought. For context, no we didn't press charges because she only broke her own stuff and made a bit of a mess. Pressing charges was just something we didn't feel like dealing with for her breaking her own crap. I also messed up the timeline. This happened 2 weeks ago. We've had a lot going on, sorry. Update, Heather was released the next day with a preliminary hearing set for last Thursday. We obviously spent so much time talking about what had happened. Mark said he was going to break up with Heather and spent that whole first week saying that. Then last week he said he isn't going to break up with her. I told him that's his choice, albeit a stupid one, but she is not allowed back at the house at all, and he said he understood. 2 days before the preliminary hearing Cindy and Mark are subpoenaed to court. Sadly, I wasn't, so this part is second hand from Cindy. Cindy told me that because it's a felony the judge is passing the case on to district court from magistrate. I guess the DA went up to Cindy and Mark and said they could offer Heather a plea deal where she would basically be on probation with mandated therapy and mandated AA. Now whether the district judge accepts that is anyone's guess. I talked with Mark that night after I got off work and he said they had a long talk after that and are staying together but won't be attached at the hip. Mark also said Heather doesn't remember anything after we stopped hanging out. He has spent every day since then with her but that's his thing, so I don't really care. Cindy and I were out of town this past weekend and we noticed on our doorbell camera that her car was magically gone at the same time Mark's was gone. I confronted him and he insisted she never went inside, and our doorbell doesn't show she went in. Cindy and I talked and were ready to kick him out too. We had another talk last night and he is moving out because they are finding a place together. We also told Mark we wanted an apology even if Heather didn't think she deserved it. I also confronted Mark because he was saying at my brother's bachelor party that Heather didn't deserve it and the cops didn't need to be called. Which is highly inappropriate at any type of event but especially that one. Heather has been telling Mark that she was trying to leave and go to her brother's. She walked outside the one time and came back in with nobody trying to stop her. She also said that I started a confrontation with her and that's why she went off the rails. I called bullshit because why would we try to stop her from leaving unless it was in a car, and we also asked how the hell she knows this if she was supposedly so blackout that she doesn't remember anything. Mark claims he doesn't remember anything until after the cops left. Which is crap because we talked about what happened multiple times over the days after this occurred. He's just being an idiot and we won't be dealing with it anymore. Either way both are moving out. Heather isn't allowed back except to get her stuff, and we will have an officer there when she is there. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. If she doesn't remember anything, how does she know those things about the incident? Mark is in a toxic relationship and I hope he will leave before it's too late. Reply, that's exactly what I said when we talked to him. He said she's remembering things, and according to Mark he doesn't remember anything until after the cops came. OOP clarifies on the court process. Reply, we live in a small town and it was a preliminary appearance. Also like I said it was moved to district court instead of magistrate, so his next trial isn't until October at the earliest. Will Mark be allowed to come back to OOP's house? Reply, he won't be allowed back. Why did OOP let Mark move in with him and Cindy? Reply, because we rent. Mark and I were renting before I met Cindy. Cindy and I are about to move out of state so we didn't see a reason to not keep renting together to save money. Commenter 2, thank you for the update. I am sorry for all the felonious behavior. Stories number 10. Am I overreacting for asking for a divorce after my husband accused me of giving food to my kids more than to his kids? I'm 36F, married to a 42M for 6 months after a 4-year love relationship. He's from a different country. We met while he was working in mine and after he moved back, I followed him, and we got married. We both have 2 teens from previous marriages, so we're raising 4 teenagers together. I met his kids only after moving here a year ago but before the marriage. Since day one, I've tried to be kind, respectful, and supportive. I cook their favorite meals, prepare lunchboxes, take them out, treat them like my own. But they're still distant, and I feel like they don't accept me. But I'm trying my best and I even telling them that I love them. Lately, my husband started observing how I treat the kids and criticizing me sometimes in front of them. If I ask his kids to help with chores like mine do, he gets annoyed. He supports sometimes by telling them to listen but still not as needed. If I talk privately with my daughter, he demands I do the same with his, though in reality, I talk to his daughter even more. But every day it feels like I'm being criticized more and more. The breaking point was during a family lunch. I cooked chicken with veggies, and asked the kids, after mine helped prepare the table, to come eat. And as I was plating the food, he stood watching me silently from about 3 meters away. When I called him to come eat, he suddenly stormed off to our room and said he didn't want to eat. I was confused. When I followed him to ask what was wrong, he accused me of giving more food to my kids than his. I was completely shocked. That's not who I am. I'm type of person who literally given his daughter my last piece of chocolate, and shared my food with his son when he wanted more. I explained that I know all their preferences. I add more onions for his son, remove the green pepper for his daughter because I care. I told him, you were standing far away, come look at the plates yourself before assuming. But he insisted he saw everything and kept repeating that I wasn't being fair. When I asked him directly, do you really think I'm unfair and dishonest, he said yes. That broke something in me. I told him this isn't the kind of marriage I want, one where I constantly have to prove I'm good enough in my own home. I asked for a divorce. Now I'm wondering, am I overreacting? Or is this a valid reason to walk away? Update. I didn't expect to receive this many comments. Thank you all for the support and for helping me see that I'm, nor. I had started to doubt myself and wonder if I was overreacting, but reading your responses helped me realize that my feelings are valid. I guess I really am someone who forgives too easily. To clarify a few questions many of you asked, I met my husband while we were working on a project in my country. Moving to his country wasn't an easy decision. I visited multiple times before relocating, to get to know his family and his kids. Before the move, we introduced our kids to each other. They connected and had calls through Snapchat and followed each other on social media. The truth is, the relationship between the teens is actually very good. They go for long walks together, exercise, and doing activities. It's been one of the positive parts of this experience. As for my husband, to be fair, he's kind to the kids, takes care of them, cooks, helps around the house, playing games with them, and is very involved. But he's also overprotective, often assuming bad intentions behind my actions, especially when it comes to how I treat his kids. Being accused of things I would never even think of doing has really hurt me, especially after everything I've done to build a loving home. For those who asked about his ex, they divorced because she cheated on him. Till now we didn't talk to each other after I asked for the divorce. I'm cooking the meals and leaving the food so they serve for themselves all. Stories number 11. Aita for distancing myself from my triplet sisters and family after years of feeling left out anyway. I'm 19F, a triplet. My sisters are identical twins and I was the fraternal twin. Even from the start my parents kind of separated me from them. My parents gave them matching names while I got a different name. They were dressed the same and I was dressed differently. They also made sure to take pictures of my sisters without me but never with me in one of them. There are photos of us together and of us individually, but there was always a greater emphasis put on them being identical and they were treated more like twins than we were like triplets. Then other people would pair them and leave me out. They got referred to as twins a lot and as a collective we'd be twins, them, with their sister, me. It always made me feel kinda shitty. Sometimes people genuinely did not know we were triplets but others did, but because of how matchy they were and because I was always different it was brushed over. As we got older I spoke up more about feeling left out. My parents would tell me I was being silly and I was just as loved and wanted as my sisters. But that was about it. They always dismissed it or laughed it off. My sisters would say it wasn't their fault or it wasn't a big deal. Some of our, but more like their, friends would make fun of the fact I wasn't really a part of the set. I was just there. A few of them even pointed out how my sisters always called me their sister but each other their twin. Back then I always tried to emphasize the triplet part and stopped when I realized I was on my own and it just made things weird or awkward. The only time my sisters seemed to care about me being left out was when people were actually wanting to see the triplets. Then they'd get upset if I was doing something. But I got so used to being almost ignored that I did step back sometimes. A few months before graduation I tried to sit my family down and talk about how hurt I was to feel left out and even pushed aside. I say try because I didn't get to finish before being called silly and being asked where it was coming from and being talked over when I tried to explain. My sisters told me I just needed to let it go. That they always included me regardless, so what was the big deal? But them including me often meant ignoring that I was there while dragging me after them. When we graduated they went to the same college and I went to a different college. They didn't include me in college talk so I didn't see a reason to chase after them. In college I've grown so much and made better friends. Friends who like and want to be around me and don't treat me like the extra who has to be there but isn't really wanted. I went to my grandparents for Christmas instead of my parents and had a nice Christmas with them. And this summer I'm actually staying with a friend from college and we're both working. My family only realized a couple of weeks ago that I wasn't coming home and they reached out to ask me when I'd be home. I told them I wasn't. Then I got asked by my sisters why I didn't call or text and I asked why they didn't. They said I always did that stuff. I said exactly. I always did it. Never them. Even when we lived together I'd be the one checking in with them. But I'm done doing that now. All four, sisters and parents, are saying I'm being weird and accusing me of distancing myself from my fellow triplets and how we need to be together to keep that bond strong. I told them I was done being treated like I'm silly for feeling left out. And now I'm getting texts almost every day from my sisters saying I'm being childish. This is the most they initiated contact with me all year and honestly since we were younger kids when they at least acted like I was their triplet. I know this might sound weird to most people. I know some twins and triplets struggle with having their own identity and not being tied to their twins' triplets. So I get that being in my shoes might sound great to some. But it felt so lonely and like I could disappear and nobody would notice. And nobody really has noticed my absence until now. Stories number 12. My girlfriend, 25F, has not texted me, 25M, in over 2 days. To start things off, my girlfriend and I have been dating for 4 years. Right now, I live in City A and she lives in City B. About 3 months ago, she moved to a City B for a job offer. Right now, I live in City A, where we live together, but I will be moving in 1.5 months to City B. A colleague recruited me to his company when my girlfriend moved to City B. Prior to her moving, my girlfriend and I always tried to play a round of chess against each other every day. Since she moved, we have been playing chess against each other, online obviously. We normally do a couple moves a day during the weekdays and finish it during the weekend, but she has not done her move in 2 days. That's fine, work may be busy, as has happened before, to both of us. But, she usually texts me when she can't and always texts me to do my move. She hasn't called, texted, or emailed me in 2 days. Social media has no activity either. I am beginning to get concerned because it is not like her to have no contact for this long. I texted her sister a few hours ago and asked her if she had heard from girlfriend, but no response yet. Her sister lives a couple hours away. Am I just overreacting and making something out of nothing? I hope I am. Or do I continue to reach out? TLDR, my girlfriend seems to have dropped off the face of the earth and I don't know what to do. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. It's really strange her sister wouldn't answer too. Are you sure you guys aren't in a fight? Reply. We haven't had a fight, nor are we in one. Our last fight was over 2 years ago. I actually flew out to visit her a couple weeks ago. Commenter 2. First you need to contact one of her family members to check that she is okay. If she is, then you have to accept that she does not want to call you. Reply. I called and texted her sister, but no reply. Commenter 3. Who do you know in her city that can check on her? Reply. Her best friend lives in that city, but she is in a different country right now. I have a friend that lives in that city as well. Other than colleagues who I just have professional relationships with, no one else. Update. So let's just say the outcome is not good. I would have rather anything else happened but this. She was in a bad car crash. Her sister had my old phone number. I changed phones a couple months ago, so I did not receive any of her calls. And when I called her, they just went to spam, so she messaged me on LinkedIn. She told me that my girlfriend was in a car crash and is in the hospital right now. She was in and out of consciousness for about 3.5-ish days. My girlfriend just woke up and became somewhat alert this morning. I called her and she seemed like her normal joking self. She told me to sell our Shiba Inu coins that we bought as a joke. Her sister said my girlfriend said she can't feel her legs, so the doctors are going to do scans and tests. But other than some scratches, bruises and some sore spots, she has a sprained wrist. I saw the pictures and it's a miracle she is not dead. The car is gone. I liked that car, it was a nice car. I am flying out tomorrow morning to visit her. I am just in shock. I don't know what to think. TLDR, her sister messaged me and my girlfriend was in a bad car crash. Top comments. Commenter 1. That's awful. Best of luck to the two of you, and hopefully she makes a full recovery. The car is gone. I liked that car, it was a nice car. That car saved her. Commenter 2. If OP didn't already state he was in shock, that sentence would have confirmed it. How do I, 25M, to support my newly paralyzed girlfriend, 25F? My girlfriend was recently in a car crash and the outcome is not good. The doctors ran their tests and scans. The results of those scans, not good. Her spinal cord was damaged in the T10 and it is a grade A. Which means she is paralyzed from the waist area down with no function. This is a huge life-changing thing for her. Before, she was a model, we played golf and tennis, ran, hiked and traveled a lot. How do I support her through this? TLDR, my girlfriend was just paralyzed, how do I support her? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Hope she's doing good and recovering well. Hope you don't mind me asking, but what's the prognosis? Remember to take care of yourself too, you gotta be in tip-top shape once she's better and out of this. You got this op. Reply. The prognosis could be a lot better. Her spinal cord was damaged in the T10, so she is paralyzed. Commenter 2. First and foremost, get a good lawyer in a big firm. Cost for all injury lawyers is 1/3 of settlement, so don't worry about cost. If it was her car, her insurance should provide costs of medical. If she was a passenger, driver's insurance should. If you had a serious relationship, marry her. Your health insurance should cover her medical after a specific time. Reply. We both have great insurance through our work and have way more than enough money to pay everything. Because of this, we may not pursue a settlement as much as we would if we weren't well off financially because of the added headache. Commenter 3. You might be well off now, but losing her income and possibly living another 50+ years, she has no idea the expenses that lie ahead. More than just medical now. A lifetime of professional care. Expenses she has no idea of right now. You cannot guarantee her you'll be there. Her family can't either because no one has any clue of what it takes. You all may be fine. Many are. Yet just as many are not. Reply. Trust me, we have more than enough. I make mid 7 figures a year and she makes low 7 figures a year, but both our salaries will increase a lot over the next few years. We both have a lot of money from a company we used to work at that recently IPO'd. And, we both come from wealthy business families. Neither of us have to work, we can survive off our money living a luxurious life for the rest of our lives. Commenter 4. You make mid 7 figures a year. Is this entire post fake or just that part? Reply. I'll be honest with you. Daddy's money and power played a big role in me getting my first job, which gave me the connections to scale up to my job now. Additional comment from me. I resigned from my current job effective in a week. So I am not going to work for a couple months and then start my new job, and I am moving here now instead of later. Stories number 13. Aita for hooking up with my new SIL's brother on her wedding night. I'm a 27-year-old gay man living on the East Coast, and last weekend I attended my brother's wedding, despite every fiber of my being telling me not to. His bride, my new sister-in-law, has openly homophobic views. She's made it clear for years that she believes I'm going to hell for being gay, and she doesn't exactly keep it to herself. I've stopped showing up at most family events where she's present because her hateful comments ruin everything. Not to mention, I'm also an atheist, and it infuriates her that I know the Bible better than she does. Still, my brother really wanted me at the wedding. He said it wouldn't be the same without me. So, despite everything, I showed up, even though she made sure I wasn't allowed a +1. According to my mom, that was her call. She didn't want me there, period. She thought I'd disgrace the occasion. I had already had a long, honest conversation with my brother before the wedding. I told him marrying this woman might seriously damage our relationship. He said he understood and accepted the risk. So, I went. Alone. At the ceremony, I noticed a cute guy sitting on the bride's side. Later, I saw him again at the reception, still solo. Before I could work up the nerve to talk to him, he came over to my table and sat down. And then came the twist. He immediately started venting about his nightmare of a sister. Yep. Turns out he's her brother. And also wasn't allowed a +1. We started bonding over the mutual tragedy of this wedding, laughing about how doomed the whole thing seemed. At one point, he slipped his foot under the table and started rubbing my leg. Yeah, that happened. The night went on, we danced, we drank, we joked, we connected. Eventually, he invited me back to his apartment. I said yes. Things happened. Good things. The next morning, all hell broke loose. Somehow, SAL found out and exploded on Facebook, accusing me of corrupting her brother. My brother, meanwhile, is furious that I ruined his wedding night. So, Aita, some context. I didn't do this out of revenge. Her brother and I genuinely got along. It wasn't some spiteful plan to get back at her or make a scene. We were two adults who enjoyed each other's company and decided to take it further. It wasn't about her. It wasn't even about my brother. It was about us, in that moment. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't have a nagging feeling it would get back to them, and cause drama. That part is on me. The day was supposed to be about my brother, even if he married someone who disrespects me to my face. I do love him, and I didn't want to taint his memory of that day. Still, I can't ignore that he chose to marry a woman who treats me like garbage. I had a long talk with my parents last night about how painful it is to watch him let this happen. They're worried our relationship won't recover from this. Honestly, I'm worried too. As for her brother and me, we haven't spoken since. I doubt it'll go anywhere. It was a one-time connection that meant something in the moment, but not something I expect to build on. This whole thing has made me realize I need to have a serious conversation with my brother, not just about this, but about everything. The way I'm treated. The way he enables it. And whether he truly sees me as family, or just a box to check on a guest list. Thanks to everyone who offered advice, humor, and tough love. This story might be the end of one chapter, but it's the start of another, one where I finally start standing up for myself. First update, 7 weeks later. 1. The talk with my brother. About a week after my post, I finally sat down with my brother. I needed time to cool off and collect my thoughts. When we talked, I brought up several points people had made in the comments, especially about how enabling his wife's behavior is just as damaging as the behavior itself. His response: "It's my responsibility now to support my wife, even when she's mostly wrong." That told me everything I needed to know. I calmly told him I was going low contact, which, in practice, has become no contact. He didn't take it well. He sent messages and tried to reach out, but I haven't replied. I already heard what he really thinks, and I believe him. 2. My parents' reaction. My parents are visibly distressed about the rift. I asked them some direct questions. Do you support her verbally attacking me? No. Do you think it's fair for people to expect me to tolerate it? No. Then why didn't my brother defend me? Silence. Why didn't you defend me? Mom cried. Dad said we'd talk later. We still haven't had that conversation. 3. Mother's Day. Only my brother and I showed up. Sil spent the day with her mother. It was tense. We barely spoke. I made eye contact often, he could barely meet my eyes. The whole day felt like walking on glass, but we managed to shower our mom with love and put on a civil front. He left after 4 hours to go pick up his wife and visit her mom. I later heard they came back to visit ours after I had gone. 4. Memorial Day. I didn't go to my parents' house. I knew Sil would be there, so I stayed away. Mom texted me asking for my coleslaw recipe. I ignored it. Instead, I spent the day with a family friend who fully supports me. They loved my coleslaw and my Jell-O fruit salad. Yes, it was delicious, not some tragic 1950s horror. My parents were pretty upset I didn't join them. I reminded them, we still need to have that talk. Let's see if that finally gets things moving. 5. Where things stand with K, Sil's brother. I showed K the original Reddit post, after my brother saw it, of course. We went through it together, and he got a good laugh at some of the comments. Huge props to the funnier Redditors. Then he hit me with something unexpected. Why do you think we wouldn't work out romantically? I told him my biggest concern was religion. I'm an atheist, he's a practicing Christian. His response stunned me. I don't judge people on their religion. I judge them on how they act and treat others. I know a lot of non-religious people who are better human beings than half the people at my church. Since then, we've grown closer, friends with benefits, to be honest. But we've held off on jumping into anything official. We both agreed to just let things flow and reevaluate in a few months. We genuinely enjoy each other's company, and yes, the intercourse is still amazing. We're even planning to go to my family's 4th of July party together, because, well, they will be there. 6. Matching mugs, courtesy of Reddit. One Redditor suggested this and we couldn't resist. We got matching mugs. I went to my sister's wedding and all I got was F*** edition. Asterisk. Mine, I went to my brother's wedding and all I got was F*** edition. Asterisk. Date included at the bottom. Beautiful chaos. 7. Photo drama. Turns out Sil was furious when she noticed we were in the background of some of her favorite reception photos, living our best lives, dancing and laughing. She tried to get them airbrushed out, but every editor said it would ruin the photos. She ended up cutting nearly all of them from the final album, except one. And yes, one of the Redditors predicted this would happen. 10 points to you. 8. Father's Day incoming. Father's Day is coming up, and it's looking like a rerun of Mother's Day. My dad always dreamed my brother and I would be lifelong best friends. This rift has hit him hard. My brother and I usually go in together on a gift. Not this year. I'm going solo, and I'm sure that'll sting a bit. But I haven't heard a word from my brother about it. Final thoughts. This whole mess has been exhausting, but eye-opening. I've lost a lot of respect for my brother in recent weeks. Not because he got married, but because he willingly let his wife belittle me, and did nothing about it. Sil continues trash-talking both me and K to anyone who'll listen. Fortunately, most people are telling her to grow up and move on. They're trying to buy a house now, but apparently they're short on funds. Normally, my brother would have come to me for help. Not anymore. Final update, Father's Day and 4th of July. This is the final chapter of the saga, and honestly, I kind of feel like a 9th grader giving a book report. I appreciate how many of you have followed along and cared, truly, but it's time to close this out. Father's Day talk, and the silence that followed. The Friday before Father's Day, my dad finally sat down with me. He said both he and my mom didn't want to get involved in what he called a spat between my brother and me. I asked him straight up if he was afraid Sil might withhold the grandkids from them. He said no. According to him, they just didn't want to appear like they were taking sides between their children. He admitted that Sil had behaved despicably toward me, and even said he'd already had 2 conversations with my brother about it, one before the wedding, one before Mother's Day. He wouldn't share what was said, and I didn't push. After Father's Day, my mom had her own conversation with me. She told me I had every right to be angry, and that she agrees Sil is out of line. But again, she echoed the whole "we can't show favoritism" speech. I asked why neither she nor Dad defended me when I was being attacked. Her answer: "You're the most capable person in the family when it comes to defending yourself." That didn't sit well with me. I told her that being capable doesn't excuse a parent from standing up for their child. She got upset. The conversation ended shortly after. Father's Day, tense but civil. We all showed up, but it wasn't warm. Sil avoided me entirely and again spent the day with her own family while I was around. My brother and I didn't speak, though I made a clear gesture to invite him into a conversation. He declined, saying I already knew where he stood. Fair enough. He knows where I stand, too. The silence remains. Kay and I, no plans, just us. I asked Kay if he was secretly enjoying the drama. He said not at all. He hates conflict in the family and said this entire situation has made his life more stressful. I also asked if he planned that night at the wedding as some kind of revenge. He said no. He said he just wanted to introduce himself so neither of us felt alone that night. The rest? That was organic. And then he looked me in the eye and told me, I didn't expect to meet someone so charming, witty, and smart, someone who just got me right away. And yes, he meant it. That moment stuck with me. 4th of July, a controlled explosion. Kay and I attended my family's 4th of July celebration, together. I brought my coleslaw. He brought some incredible cornbread, shout out to his grandmother. We agreed beforehand to keep things respectful and non-physical in public, no touching, no hugging, no kissing. Just, affable and friendly. Honestly, it worked. And it got under Sil's skin more than any PDA ever could. She made a little dramatic huff every time she saw either of us. After about 2 hours of it, my brother actually turned to her, within my earshot, and said, knock it off. You're making yourself look childish. My jaw nearly hit the floor. Sil looked furious but didn't say another word after that. Something's clearly brewing between the two of them, but I don't have details. Still, the rest of the day went smoothly. We all went to the fireworks show that night. Kay and I sat next to each other among the rest of the family. No drama. Just fireworks in the sky. Where things stand now, my brother and I aren't speaking. That seems to be the permanent state of things. And you know what? That's his choice. I made mine. My parents are sad about it, but they've admitted this is something we have to work out ourselves. I no longer see it as cowardice on their part, just resignation. They still treat me with love and respect. They've even told Sael to rein it in. According to my mom, she told Sael point blank not to behave like she did on the 4th ever again. When my mom gets angry, she's terrifying. I believe her. Am I being antagonistic? Some Redditors ask this, and I've thought about it a lot. Maybe, a little. But it's less about provocation and more about reclaiming my space. This is my family. My parents. My childhood home. I'm not going to avoid family gatherings just because someone who despises me married into it. I'm not leaving. If anyone should, it's her. Kay and me, still figuring it out. Kay and I are still in that undefined space, close friends with benefits and growing emotional connection. We've introduced each other to our respective friend groups. Some people think we're clearly boyfriends. Some don't. That's fine. It's not about the label right now. Kay told me on July 6th, I knew exactly how my sister would treat you. I just didn't want you to go through it alone like I had to. He's a genuinely good man. A real friend. Possibly more, but for now, I'm happy where we are. Final note on the house situation. Yesterday, my dad asked if I'd heard that my brother and Asael are trying to buy a house. I said I figured. He didn't ask for money, but I went ahead and said I wouldn't be available to help them financially. He understood. For context, I have a BS and MS that led to a great job I got through a well-connected aunt. I save and invest smartly. I'm not wealthy, just very frugal. Kay calls me cheap but clever. I accept that. This is the end of the Reddit journey, not the story. I'm fairly certain my brother is reading these posts. If so, well, now he knows how I truly feel. I don't think my parents are aware of Reddit. If they are, they haven't said anything. To everyone who offered advice, support, and perspective, thank you. You helped me navigate something incredibly painful with more clarity and dignity than I would have had on my own. They say blood is thicker than water, but I've learned, so is dynamite and chemical sludge. This was never about petty drama. It was about boundaries, self-respect, and learning how to stand up for myself as an adult in a family that expected me to stay quiet. So thank you, Reddit truly. Peace, love and coleslaw. Third update. So, me and my brother haven't spoken to or seen each other since November 2nd. He sent me a text asking if I could give him some money to help with a down payment for a new house. He said, give and not loan. I whipped up a loan contract and sent it to him. He got mad and complained with my dad, who told him it was unrealistic to borrow a large sum of money from me. My brother called me an a-hole for not giving him the money because he believes I can afford it. He never even said please. We're done as brothers after that. Brother and I now split holidays with our parents. We're never there at the same time. This makes our mom really sad, and our dad isn't happy with it either. However, they do understand and, although they never said it out loud, I know they eventually sided with me on this. My SIL is just a horrific homophobe. We know this because of stories K told us about growing up with her, and his family is not really peachy either. As many Redditors predicted, K and I did become a couple. We figured that out right after Halloween when we realized we each stopped dating because we always hung out together. K all but moved into my apartment by Halloween. He spent more time there than at his parents' house. He moved in full-time just before Thanksgiving. He is so easy to live with, and the adjustment was never difficult for either of us. Apparently his sister and most of his family are really, really pissed off he is living with me and we're a couple. Who cares, right? Fuck them. Kay and I spent most of Thanksgiving and most of Christmas with my mom and dad. Mom said she's glad she doesn't have to pretend anymore that Kay and I aren't together. They really like him. Kay loves my folks. I think he's using me to get to them, just kidding. We went to a great New Year's party at a friend's house. Everyone there who knows us knew we'd become a couple. They said it was one of deals that just looked so obvious. I feel kind of stupid for trying to ignore the fact he and I just got along so well together. I'm pretty much a fool in love, so, kind of split down the middle. Lost my brother, but got a great boyfriend. Parents still refrain from telling me or my brother how we need to act toward each other. I can't see my relationship with my brother ever getting fixed unless, well, I do want him to be as happy as he can be. Peace to everyone. For those of you who predicted these outcomes, I guess it was kind of transparent and I was kind of being willfully ignorant. Thanks to all on Reddit. Kay says hello as he's watching me write this. Fourth update. TLDR, Borther and I still not talking. SIL remains what she is. Mom and dad unhappy, but understand. Kay and I are forging a really good relationship. In other words, not much has changed. Although I am avoiding Reddit due to their recent and nasty policy changes regarding third-party apps, I checked and saw a number of replies to the original posts over the past 8 months since I last posted. I figured a small update is in order since people seem interested. My brother and I still do not talk. He got really mad at me when he made a bid on a house and lost out because he couldn't come up with enough down payment. He blamed this on me because I wouldn't give him the money. My parents were furious with him when he publicly made these accusations. Most of our side of the family know he is full of crap, and no one blames me for not loaning him the money. Our parents pulled out their donation portion as a result, and my brother blamed this on me as well. Now, brother and SAL need to come up with the down payment all on their own. I heard SAL got some money from her parents to help, but it all got spent on trying to bring down her debts. Her debts are killing them when added onto my brother's debts. They don't seem very good with money. Despite that, Kay and I hear they are still happy together. I wouldn't know since I only ran into my brother once on Mother's Day, and that was a tense event. Father's Day, 4th of July and Labor Day got spent separately with my parents. The same is going to be true for Thanksgiving and Festivus. My parents and I are still very tight. As this situation progressed, they had a good look at SIL in action. She's not really welcome at their home anymore unless she is with my brother. I think I read this first on Reddit, but I advise my parents to believe the person when they show you their true face. They are afraid my brother isn't really happy since he is also losing some of his oldest and closest friends, although that could be the result of them still being single. It's hard to evaluate from a distance. Kay says brother SIL spend the majority of their social time with Kay's and SIL's family. Kay gets reports from one of his aunts since he is now persona non grata. I had to look that phrase up, with his family because he is living completely in sin with me. He says it's fine since my parents have really taken to him. They like Kay a lot, and they've gone so far as to tell him it doesn't matter if he is dating me as he'll always be welcome at their home. He goes over there on his own at times. I think that is so cool. Kay and I remain happy together. After the first couple of months, we needed to really figure out what our relationship is all about. There were a few really tense times during that period, but friends reminded us we needed to openly and honestly communicate every single day. That is the magic of any relationship from what I can figure out. We clearly spell out what we expect from each other, and that helps us keep everything nice and level. We work because we work at it. Sometimes I think what it boils down to is that I just like Kay a lot. He would be my friend even if we weren't dating and living together. He told me he feels the same way and thinks the whole liking aspect is probably pretty significant. I agree, and I just like being around him as much as I can. I found out my dad and mom give really, truly great advice. I understand my parents' relationship so much better than I ever did, and it's becoming model for me. They remain sad and disheartened about the schism between me and my brother, but they also understand I should not be treated like garbage. They encourage both Kay and me to stay true to ourselves, but be realistic about what we want individually and together. I haven't asked, but I wonder if they ever gave the same advice to my brother. I think they would. He probably didn't listen because he's in love. The long and short of it is not much changed in the past 8 months or so. Although I tried to initiate a brief conversation with my brother on Mother's Day, his anger and bitterness toward me because I won't give him house money seems to be the top issue with him. My mom said he feels like I'm not really considering his position, and she could not tell me that with a straight face. I honestly don't understand how anyone can act like he did toward me and then expect me to just roll over and do what they want. Not sure things are ever going to right between us. It still makes me sad, and I miss the old relationship with my brother. But I've got other things to look forward to and people who make me happy. Like my dad likes to tell me and Kay, we still have a lot of life left to live. New update. Hey, this is Kay. I've been reading and following this since T doesn't. He stopped like the day or two after he put up the last post. I know there's some people who want answers to some questions and I thought I'd give some. I'm not as good with writing as T, but I'll try. T and his bro don't talk at all to each other. They see each other maybe twice a year at their parents'. T's mama is sad about it, but she told me she knows why. She and T's dad don't talk to my sis anymore and won't let her in the house most of the time. T's dad got really mad at his bro and they don't talk much either. He told me T's bro said he doesn't know how to support his wife my sis and still be T's brother. I don't get how he can do that to T, got no respect for him. I don't think T's dad respects T's bro anymore. I feel sorry for T's mama who just wants her boys to be good to each other. T's bro keeps hanging in there with my sis. My aunt says they are kind of happy most of the time. They got a 2-bed apartment when they didn't get the house. I heard it's kind of tight for them for money. A lot of you got pissed when T's bro asked for some money for the house. I was like, WTF with you. T was even more pissed off, just so you know. He figured his bro wouldn't go for the loan and that's why he did it, cause bro can't pay him back. T finally told his dad why he made it a loan, and his dad thought it was pretty funny and smart. I really love T's parents. They are the best to me and family to me now. It makes me mad how T's bro came out cause they didn't raise him that way. They love T's bro and this whole situation really hurts them. They know T tried with his bro, T really loved him. I think he still does and doesn't know how to stop. I get that, but it makes me sad for him cause T's bro isn't going to change. Some of you said me and T's bro kind of traded spots. We sort of did. I don't go see my family anymore cause they are assholes like my sis. I go to a new church now cause of them and God. Sometimes T goes with me. I don't really listen to the priest but sit there and talk with God and Jesus in my head. When I talk with them I have to be real honest and think things through. I'm pretty sure God loves T and he loves T and me being with each other. T just sits and listens. He says he argues with the priests in his head but keeps his mouth shut for me. No, I didn't make a secret plan to hook up with T at the wedding. I just knew who he was cause I heard my sis bitching about him before the wedding. I knew who T was when I saw his parents talking to mine for the pictures. I saw him sitting at the table alone with his parents at the reception. He's really cute. I woulda hit on him anyway. T and me had a lot of fun at the reception and it was even better after it. Hell yeah, I told someone who would tell my sister we hooked up. I didn't tell her. I knew she would get pissed off when she heard. I didn't think of doing that till a day later, so it wasn't a plan at first. Here is why I'm writing this. Cause T put his trust in a bunch of internet strangers. They came through for him and me. Feel like you should know some more of what happened. A lot of it is cause I like and love T so much I can't even tell you. He's my best friend in the world. I can't wait to see him every day and we live together. I love talking to him and sometimes we don't even need to talk. I just like being near him. Anyway, love to you all for the nice things you said and helping with advice. I'll try to keep track of this if anyone's got questions. Stories number 14. Aita for telling a woman at the gym that she's embarrassing herself. I go to the gym a lot. About 6-ish months ago I noticed a woman I'll call Andrea. That's not her name, but it will be for the rest of this post. I don't know if Andrea started going to the gym 6 months ago or if that's just when I noticed her. Full disclosure, I spoke to her first, but I had no way of knowing what the result would be. A lot of the machines at this gym have little entertainment systems attached to them that can access local channels. I got on a treadmill and realized the TV on the treadmill wasn't working. Andrea was walking past and I said, "Hey, do you know if there's an issue with the cable? This TV isn't working, but I don't know if it's just this one or all of them." She said the same thing happened to her on a different machine. I thanked her. That was the whole interaction. A week later she asked me for some electrolyte powder for her water. I said I didn't have any. She was cool with that and asked me how long I'd been coming to the gym and what I did for work. I answered and returned her questions. She said she was new to the area and worked in private security. We had a few more chill conversations after that. 6 weeks ago she asked me out. For reasons I won't get into here, I wasn't interested. I declined. She said not to worry about things being awkward at the gym if we don't work out. I said that wasn't the issue, just not looking to date right now. She kept talking to me, and at first I kept talking to her, but I started to think something might be wrong, and I started avoiding her. 2 weeks ago she walked up to me while I was on a machine with only one way to properly dismount that involved stepping into weight she was standing. She asked if I was avoiding her. I said I was and apologized. I said I just don't want to date right now. She said I don't have to avoid her to not date her. I said okay. I kept avoiding her though. Tonight while I was working out she confronted me again about avoiding her. I had a bad day and told her to leave me alone. She asked why I'm being such a prick, and I said because I wanted her to leave me alone. I then said that she was embarrassing herself and needs to stop. She put her foot on top of the weights, and I thought she was going to press down on them, so I let go of the bar very quickly, causing the weights to slam and make a loud noise. Several people looked over. She said, "Now who's embarrassing himself," and walked away. Did I go too far by saying that? Do I owe her an apology? Update: I went in early this morning for a run and told the front desk staff about Andrea putting her foot on the weights. They said they would talk to her. Then, after work, I went in again for a regular workout. I was working on my legs when she walked up to my machine. The first thing she did was apologize about the weights. I don't know if someone talked to her or if that was of her own initiative. I accepted her apology and apologized for saying she was embarrassing herself. She said she forgave me, but if I wanted to really make it up to her I could buy her a drink and she would buy me one too to make up for the weights. I said maybe we should buy our own drinks, meaning separately at different places and times, and she misunderstood me and asked when and where. I told her I meant that I didn't want to go out with her. She said this wouldn't be a date but a reset for our friendship. I said I didn't want to be friends. She said I was being a douche and asked what my problem is. I said the weight incident made me uncomfortable, and I would rather us just give each other space. She then asked me if my problem with her is that she's Hispanic. I was so taken aback. I didn't even know she was until she said that. I said no, that she just makes me uncomfortable. She wanted me to explain what about her made me uncomfortable, and I tried to do so, but she argued with every point I made. I got frustrated and told her to just stay away from me. She said fine and that I have a lot of maturing to do. Then she walked away. I'm hoping that's the end of it. Relevant comments. OOP on why he doesn't want to get in a relationship. Reply: she's just not my type. Even if she was, I don't want to get into a relationship right now. My last relationship lasted 3 years, and I need to remember how to be single before I hop right back into another relationship. Commenter 1, something might be wrong, what do you mean? Reply: I don't know how to explain it. I almost felt like she was having a completely different conversation with me than I was having with her. She seemed inappropriately enthusiastic. That's the best way I can think to say it. Top commenter: dude, she just moved into the area, probably lonely and doesn't know anyone I'm guessing. Did she ask you out on like a friend hangout type deal or was it a proper date? Reply: it was a date. She asked me if I wanted to get a drink with her sometime, and when I declined she said I don't need to worry about things being awkward at the gym if we don't work out romantically, and I had to decline a second time. Commenter 2, good for you on taking a breather. NTA by the way. She either has severe mental health issues or hasn't been socialized properly. No normal person would ever put you in that position. I make every excuse I can when I'm not interested in someone, but when someone can't take a hint you do eventually have to disregard their feelings. I mean, think about it. She disregarded yours. Reply: that is a good way to think about it. I hadn't considered that part. Thank you. Commenter 3, I wouldn't go to the police RN because you've only just told her to leave you alone. But if gym management doesn't stop it then yeah I would go to the police. Harassment is harassment. If you were a girl and she was a guy who worked in security who also put their foot on your equipment people would be really concerned, rightly so. Reply: that's kind of a different situation. I have at least 60 pounds on her. It's not like she can follow me to my car and beat me up one night. What she did was dangerous and creepy, but what could she really do that's worse? Maybe drop a weight on my toe, but I can't think of anything else. It's not like she knows where I live. Update. Summary of previous post. Skip this paragraph if you read that post. A woman at my gym, Andrea, fake name, asked me out after some normal not at all romantic interactions. I turned her down and shortly after I stated getting a weird vibe from her and started avoiding her. She confronted me about avoiding her twice, and the second time I said she was embarrassing herself, after which she put her foot on the weight stack of the machine I was using, causing me to let go of the bar really quickly and slam the weights. I initially thought I was the asshole for my rude comment, and most posters said I actually underreacted and should talk to gym management, which I did, after which Andrea confronted me again and asked me out again. I turned her down, we argued briefly and she said I needed to grow up. Actual update, Andrea is banned from the gym. I was running on the treadmill and watching TV. She came up to talk to me, and I ignored her, staring at the TV. She raised her voice and I continued to ignore her. She reached out and pulled the safety tab out of the treadmill, the one you connect to your wrist so the treadmill stops if you fall, causing the treadmill to come to a sudden stop. I tripped and fell onto the controls and TV, scratching my chin on the top of the screen. I went to the front desk with Andrea following me. I told them what she did. She kept trying to interrupt me and talk over me, but the woman at the front desk told her to be quiet and wait her turn. I told her Andrea pulled out the safety tab while I was running and injured me. The woman at the front desk then asked Andrea what happened. Andrea said I was staring into the middle distance, like I was in some kind of voyage state, and she thought I was having a medical episode so she pulled the tab. The woman at the front desk asked for her membership card. Andrea didn't want to give it to her, but the woman at the front desk said if she didn't she would ban her. Andrea gave her the card and the woman at the front desk said to leave and she was suspended for a month. Andrea objected and got into an argument with the woman at the front desk that escalated into Andrea calling the woman an N-word B-word. So she was banned permanently. I hesitate to call that a happy ending because the poor gym employee had to put up with racial harassment, but I won't deny getting to watch her cut up Andrea's membership card felt good. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, still NTA. Andrea proved herself to be crazy, with a side of racist. Reply, and the irony is that SHE accused me of being racist for not wanting to date her. Commenter 2, I'm guessing she doesn't get told no very often. I'm glad it had a safe ending. Reply, thank you I am too. Now that it's all over I'm starting to process it. The whole thing was so crazy. My heart rate is up higher than it ever gets when I run, which is nuts. Commenter 3, if you see her again and she acts creepy it's worthy of reporting to police. Just pay attention to your surroundings in case she stalks you. Reply, she's banned from the gym, so I doubt I'll see her again. She doesn't know where I work or live. OOP on his race and Andrea's race. Reply, she said she's Hispanic. I'm not going to tell you what race I am. Top commenter, seriously, this is honestly your response. If so, you aren't actually into women. You may not know it yet, but you aren't. It's a completely normal question for a person to ask, is this crazed psycho who is trying to date you is hot or not? Every straight male is thinking the exact same thing. Reply, I date women. I recently left a 3-year relationship with a woman, and she could tell you that I definitely like women. I just don't think women are defined solely by their appearance. I'll give you an example. I have this friend I grew up with. She is objectively very beautiful. Many men, and women, have told her so. While I can see that she is beautiful, the first thing I think when I see her is, that's my friend that I love dearly, not, that's an attractive woman that's probably good at intercourse. I have never been attracted to her because we treat each other like siblings. Conversely, in this situation, even if Andrea was my type, which she isn't, and I was looking to get into another relationship, which I'm not right now, it still wouldn't matter because her behavior towards me was so off-putting. She could look like Allison Hannigan, an actress I think is particularly attractive, and it wouldn't matter because I don't date women that put people in physical danger when they're upset. Commenter 4, info, are you okay from the injury? NTA, but just be careful. I've had jarring injuries while running from having to unexpectedly stop on a dime, and, while it felt okay at the time, it caused a stability-related injury next workout. Reply, I'm okay it's just a scratch. Update, Andrea the gym nut. Sorry for the incomprehensible post. I posted this last night when I was drunk. I'll rewrite it to explain what happened. Last night I went to a bar near my apartment to meet up with some friends. The 3 of us were drinking and having a good time when Andrea walked up. I never saw her enter the bar. I only noticed her when she was in front of us. She greeted me and said it was good to see me and leaned in to try to kiss me. I pushed her away from me and she fell, but one of my friends caught her. She started yelling and asking what the fuck is wrong with me. I told her to stay away from me and not come any closer. She asked if I was embarrassed of her and didn't want my friends to see her. I said, this is the third time you've tried to assault me and I want you to stay away from me. At that point the bouncer showed up to ask what was going on. Andrea said I pushed her. I tried to explain that she tried to kiss me and is stalking me, but I was drunk and not doing a great job. My friends also tried to explain that I was innocent, but they were also drunk. Security kicked me out of the bar. My friends walked me home. I am definitely going to try to get a restraining order. This has gone way too far. Top comments. Commenter 1, she is literally stalking you and it's going to just get worse. If she tries to follow you again, please call the police. Ask your gym for video footage of Andrea purposely sabotaging your workouts, purposely trying to injure you and following you around. This situation is insane and escalating from following you around the gym to full-on intruding into your personal life. Does she have any of your social media? If so, definitely block her, as clearly she's starting to learn your patterns and outside hobbies. Be safe. Commenter 2, might be a stretch, but you should inform your workplace that you have a woman harassing you in retaliation for being rejected and banned from the gym after she escalated to violent and dangerous behavior. If she found you in a bar, assuming it wasn't a coincidence, then she can find out where you work and try to sabotage your job and reputation, and go to the police. Commenter 3, now that it's gone beyond the gym, you need to start the process of getting a restraining order. She's unhinged as fuck, you need to get the law on your side. Go back to the bar on a different night and ask for the manager. Explain the situation and the context, make sure to mention that you're in the process of taking out a restraining order against her for stalking and harassment. Try and clear your name, you were with friends and a woman walked in and immediately created a scene, but you were kicked out. Nah, I'd be fighting that, that's some bullshit. Stories number 15. Did my girlfriend's parents try to plant something in my bag? I need an outside perspective. Feeling jealous of my girlfriend's privileged life while I work hard for success. I really need some advice on how to handle my complicated feelings. My girlfriend comes from a wealthy family and often goes on luxurious international vacations with them. The last 2 times they've traveled abroad, I stayed at their place to dog sit. Her family is incredible and treats me like one of their own, doing so much for me. Meanwhile, I come from a poor background and never went on family vacations. I just graduated college in May and start my job in July. I worked tirelessly to land this job without any family connections, paying my own way through college while working to cover rent and tuition. Here's where it gets tricky, I can't help but feel envious of her life. She never has to worry about money and can do whatever she wants whenever she wants. She's amazing, not stuck up at all, and fully aware of her privilege. She often pays for us when we go out. Yet, I can't shake this jealousy about her ability to float through life effortlessly while I have to grind and start my adult life immediately after college. Because it's not about anything she does, I don't know how to bring it up to her. To make matters more complicated, she will be studying abroad in Scotland this year, and if I had the same opportunity one would take it in a heartbeat, but I just don't have that privilege. How do I cope with these feelings of jealousy and frustration? Update, this is my first time posting on Reddit and I realized that I left some important information out that pertains to some of the responses. I am 22F and my girlfriend is 21F. We have been in a lesbian relationship for 2 years, and we are both very healthy individuals. Our relationship is secure. We are able to communicate openly about any issues that arise, besides this one LOL. She loves me for who I am and never makes me feel obligated to buy lavish things for her. When she pays for things, she does so out of kindness and never makes me feel belittled. She understands my financial situation and never judges me for it. Her family is newly wealthy, her dad grew up poor and made a name for himself as an MD. They just hit bringing in $1 million this year and are continuing to expand. We don't have plans for marriage until our late 20s, and I don't think the solution is to just marry into her family. They have never asked me to join their family vacations, but her parents have paid for things related to my college experience and are currently helping me furnish my first apartment. Her dad also gives me a lot of valuable financial advice, which I am very grateful for. As for the advice I've received here, I want to say thank you very much. I appreciate having new perspectives on the situation and have decided it's best to resolve these feelings within myself, as it wouldn't be beneficial to bring up something to her that she has no control over. I'm turning to Reddit because I need an outsider's perspective on something that's been really bothering me. For context, my girlfriend, F24, is getting her doctorate, and her parents financially support her while she's in school. The issue is, they use this support to control every aspect of her life, where she can live, how much time she can spend with me, F24, and even the places she's allowed to go. Over time, through a lot of reflection and conversations with me, she's realized this isn't normal and plans to fully distance herself once she secures a stable job that can help pay for her degree. We've been together for 3 years, and as time has passed, her parents have started trying to control aspects of my life as well. I grew up poor and have always financially supported myself. I used to drive a beater car that finally gave out, and for Christmas, her parents gifted me one of their cars. While I was incredibly grateful, I always felt like there were strings attached. For instance, the car isn't registered in my name, which created issues when trying to renew the registration. It also has an app that allows remote access, starting the car, tracking its location, etc. I never asked for access because I knew they were using it to keep tabs on me. I even got a text from my girlfriend's dad once, letting me know I had left the car door unlocked, confirming to me that they definitely monitor it. Recently, I applied for a job in the city where my girlfriend and her parents live. Since my girlfriend is currently abroad for her doctorate, she wasn't home when I stayed with her parents for my first round of interviews. While I was there, they kept pushing the idea of me living with them to save money to buy a house. I was polite and considered it in conversation, but I knew that wasn't something I wanted. During my visit, my girlfriend's friends invited me to go out to a few bars one night, but her mom had an issue with me being out late, so I ended up not going. Now, here's where I need perspective. I flew home that Sunday with just a carry-on bag. I didn't unpack right away, and when I finally did laundry on Tuesday, I found a rusty pocket knife in my load of clothes. I was completely confused because a pocket knife is not something I own or have seen before. I sent a picture to my girlfriend to see if it might belong to her brother and had accidentally gotten mixed up in my stuff. She said she'd never seen it before and sent it to her family group chat to ask if it was theirs. Her parents' responses were, "Mom, what? LMAO, I didn't give her any laundry. And it's dirty on top of that, so I definitely wouldn't give her something dirty. LMAO, think about it, love. That's kind of concerning because she didn't check a luggage last time she was here." She carried on. She would have been in trouble. Dad, nice. Contraband, and she flew with it. Their first reaction wasn't confusion, "I've never seen that before," it was immediately defensive and focused on how I could have gotten in trouble at the airport. I hadn't even thought about the fact that I flew with it. I was just trying to figure out where it came from. But their reaction, combined with everything else, has me spiraling. I can't shake the feeling that they might have planted it in my bag to try and get me in trouble. I am so conflicted because they are nice people and have truly helped me in so many ways. Am I overthinking this? Or is this as weird as it feels to me? I would really appreciate an outside perspective. Edit, I'm newish to Reddit, so if this is how you do updates. After reading through all of your comments on my original post, I didn't realize just how concerning this situation sounded to outsiders. It has given me a lot to think about, and I really appreciate everyone's perspective. I want to talk to my girlfriend about everything, but I'm struggling with how to bring it up. When I got back from my trip, I called her, she lives abroad, and mentioned that her parents were pushing the idea of me moving in with them so I could save money for a duplex, something I've wanted for a while. I told her that, while it could help me financially, I didn't want to do it because it could ruin the current dynamic I have with her parents. I also called to vent about how her mom essentially stopped me from going out with friends because it was too late. Her response caught me off guard. She agreed that moving in wouldn't be a good idea, but not because of her parents' control issues, because she didn't want to hear me complain about them. This was new for me to hear, especially since she constantly vents to me about how her mom micromanages her life and how her dad does nothing to stop it. That conversation made me feel like I don't know how to bring up the bigger issues. The possibility that her parents planted the knife in my bag. How I feel like the car is being used to control me. How I've slowly felt like they are trying to dictate aspects of my life just like hers. When they gifted me the car after Christmas, they told me they would keep it in their name since they had a good interest rate in payments. I didn't think much of it at the time. I was just grateful to have a car that wasn't constantly breaking down. Her mom gave me an envelope, and I was under the impression that they were the renewal stickers. The car's registration expired in 01/25. A week into January, I went to put the new sticker on and opened the envelope, only to find a denial letter because she never submitted the required inspection. When I texted her about it, she already knew it was a denial, not the renewal stickers, but didn't mention it to me beforehand. While she was somewhat helpful when I asked for info on how to get it fixed, it turned into a frustrating ordeal. Since the car isn't in my name and is registered in a different county, it took almost a month to get everything processed. I ended up figuring it out on my own and was able to change the mailing address so that stickers would come directly to me. But I still haven't received the stickers. It's been 3 weeks. After reading everyone's comments, I can't shake the feeling that this might be intentional. My temporary receipt from the DMV is only valid for 31 days, which means it expires next week. If I get pulled over with expired registration, that could cause serious problems, especially because I'm applying to work in law enforcement. I've completely dropped the idea of moving to their city and will not be continuing the interview process for that job. I also know that I need to get a new car as soon as possible. I'm going to start saving, and when my girlfriend comes to visit at the end of April, I'll ask her to drive the gifted car back. Hopefully, by then, I'll have another car lined up. Looking back, I felt weird about the car from the moment they gave it to me. I was excited and grateful, but something in my gut told me there were strings attached. Before the car, I didn't feel like I owed them anything or that they were entitled to details about my life. Now, I feel like they use it as leverage to monitor me. I know I need to talk to my girlfriend about this, but I want to approach it in a way that isn't judgmental, just honest about how I feel. We generally have good communication, but I'm worried about how she'll react, given her response to my last call. To also address the comments about timeline for when my girlfriend will be financially free from them, I think it will be a very long time. They have given her everything she's wanted and needed her whole life. She doesn't have to work. She is only in the last few months starting to realize that her parents are leveraging money to control her and is starting to want to look for jobs while going to school. Which I am very proud of her for coming to this realization, as I know it was not easy for her to do. But I honestly think it may be years before she actually stops being provided for. Does anyone have advice on how to navigate this conversation? How do I explain everything in a way that she'll understand without making her feel defensive? Also, I understand that timelines as far as age do not match. I am trying to keep this as anonymous as possible. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. You need to give that car back, even if it hurts your day-to-day life. If it's not registered in your name, it's not your car. That car is nothing but a tracking device and maybe even a way for them to try to gather intel on you to use against you with your girlfriend. Same thing as putting a rusty pocket knife in your luggage. Be glad it wasn't drugs. If you had been caught with that little pocket knife at TSA, they'd make you throw it away, but you might not be arrested, but you would have been immediately detained for drugs. Just saying. Reply. I know I need to give the car back and have been feeling that way for a while. I don't even feel like it is mine. But I don't know how to go about doing that without severing the relationship I have with them and making my girlfriend question my motives. Commenter 2. If you didn't do laundry at a laundromat, the parents set you up. Do not go back to their house. If you do, don't even bring a purse. And don't take anything from them. I'd give back the car as well. That's some CRA shit. Reply. Yeah, I did the laundry at my house. I truly feel like I cannot trust them anymore. And it's giving me anxiety. LOL. Update. A lot has happened since my original post, and it's honestly hard to even know where to start. I got my own car fixed and no longer drive the one that was given to me, the same one involved in the initial situation. When I finally told my girlfriend everything, she believed me and wanted to get to the bottom of it. I felt relieved. I also talked to a few of my childhood friends, people she's only met once and who live out of state, just to get some perspective. I was intentional about who I should to speak to. I picked people who do not know her family, and knowing the information we talked about would not change their dynamics because they don't know each other. I still wanted to honor her and our relationship. When I told her, though, she flipped. She didn't speak to me for a full day and said I had betrayed her trust. Then she told her dad that I thought her mom planted the knife, which I never said. If anything, I've always quietly believed it was her dad. This was a much worse betrayal. She went to the source, and finding that out hurt me so bad, and I don't think I will ever heal from that. We fought, eventually talked it out, and kept moving forward. Or tried to. Then about a month ago, everything imploded. Her dad found out her mom was cheating. The evidence. 7 back and forth messages between her and an old family friend catching up. That was it. But it didn't matter. He spiraled. While my girlfriend was home, he started screaming at her mom, calling her a whore, a slut, just completely degrading her. It got so intense that my girlfriend had to kick a door open out of fear. The next day, he kicked her mom out, cut off her phone service and all her cards. She's a stay-at-home mom with no personal finances. He left her with nothing. My girlfriend came to stay with me after that, trying to get space. He started blowing up her phone with unhinged messages just because she set a boundary. Meanwhile, her mom went back to the house while he was at work to grab some of her things and found her computer background changed to a picture of the man she supposedly cheated with. When she walked into the bathroom, all of her perfume bottles were smashed and shards of glass everywhere. On the bed, an assault rifle laid out. Intentionally placed. Meant to intimidate. A week later, he invited her, the mom, out to dinner, but only communicated through their son, saying things like, "Tell your mom to come to dinner." At dinner, he acted like everything was normal. held her hand. Made her think things were mending. Then, mid-meal, he slid her an envelope. Inside was a Mother's Day card from her own mom. But written over the sweet note in thick black Sharpie, "Do not make a scene. We are getting a divorce." With his ring inside the envelope, it was calculated. Disturbing. Cruel. And it was all done with a smile on his face in front of their children. Watching this unfold shattered something in me. I watched my girlfriend's entire world collapse. She had always held her dad in the highest regard, saw him as someone who could do no wrong. But I thought, finally. Maybe now she'll see what I've been seeing all along. Because I never truly believed her mom planted the knife. I always felt it was him. He's dangerously intelligent, and that's what makes him so terrifying. His attacks are calculated and psychological. But then, after 2 weeks of crying in my arms, telling me how scared she was, she went back. And the same night she got back, she said she had a good talk with her dad and that they were good now. Just like that, after everything, now her mom is fully moved back in. They're all acting like none of it ever happened. And my girlfriend is doing the same. She's giving herself no space to process. She's always been expected to be everyone's rock, to hold it all together, and now she's doing that again, pretending everything is fine. I couldn't take it anymore. After being on the phone with her and hearing her interact with her parents like nothing happened, I finally told her the truth, that she's being manipulated. That it's hard to watch. That I will never see her parents the same way again. That I don't want a relationship with them moving forward. It hurt her. Deeply. She wants me to be good with her family. I get it, they mean everything to her. But I will never be good with them. I'm still so angry for her. Because all I see is how they use her, manipulate her, and take advantage of her loyalty, and she doesn't see it. We argued again. I'm exhausted. We're supposed to be moving abroad together in 2 months, and yet we're both trying to live in completely different realities. I love her, but this is breaking me. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Your relationship is over, please take it out back and shoot it already. Watching this miserably play out isn't fun for anyone. Reply. I don't agree that our relationship is over. We are really great in person, have been doing long distance for a year, and for the most part have continued to push each other to grow and be better versions of ourselves. We just need to learn how to navigate her family dynamic in a way that I get to keep my boundaries and she still gets to feel connected to her family. Stories number 16. Aita, for abandoning my so-called family after discovering the truth. I, 32, am unmarried and been since I was 20. We had a little boy a few years ago who is 9 now. My wife is the same age me. Recently it has came to my attention that my partner is less than faithful. I caught her cheating on red-handed. I won't get into that part though. I've suspected it for a while. But I never could catch her, she was very good at being a liar. We stayed together for the kid and were halfway trying to work things and was living in a hotel for a bit. She has a best friend that is known for having multiple partners. And one night I ran into her and we hung out drinking and she ended up staying the night at my hotel room. We didn't do anything intercourse. She tried to kiss me and I just couldn't go through with it. My wife apparently decides to come see me the next morning and there was a blowout. The cops were called from the screaming and I was kicked out of the hotel. In the middle of all that she told me that our son wasn't even mine. At first I just figured she was trying to hurt me, but after a while got a DNA test. She was not lying. Now for the worst part. After I found out, I tried to talk to her so we could figure out what to tell him. He already knows. Apparently his real father threatened to take her to court 2 years ago if she didn't let him see the kid. Apparently she had been taking him to see his real dad once a month since, and I had no idea. I was devastated by him knowing before I did and with everything that happened, so I just left that night and haven't spoken to them in over 6 months now. Stories number 17. I, 44F, became disabled 3.5 years ago and my husband, 45M, sighs when I ask for help with basic tasks. My husband and I have been together for 20 years, married 10. I became disabled about 3.5 years and despite losing most mobility in my legs, coupled with some significant pain flares, where it's hard to move, I still keep up with a lot of tasks. I also am the primary caretaker for my daughter. I dress her, bathe her, feed her, take her to and from school, do homework, etc. I do the shopping, organize family events, do our finances, schedule doc appointments, etc. As far as housework, I still do majority laundry, dishes, meal for hubby, my daughter and myself. I still keep everything tidy and neat in all rooms. I clean the kitchen, windows, clean the bathrooms, even if it's on my hands and knees, but I just can't vacuum any longer. Now, my husband has always cut the grass, does the pool, hot tub, garbage etc. and works a full-time job, so I understand he's busy too. I am a type A, and prior to becoming disabled, I did everything and never had to ask for help from anyone. I just did it all. I never asked my husband to vacuum or help with laundry and simple tasks like when he's home from work, like if he could retrieve a few things for me so I can save some physical steps. For example, I ask, can you get our daughter a snack, can you throw the laundry in the dryer, it's hard for me to bend some days, or, can you fill my water or get my pills, etc. Mind you, 80% of days he comes home to a meal waiting for him and we don't bother him until he's showered and finished with his dinner, or he's even grumpier. When I ask him these favors, I am a lot of times met with eye rolls, heavy sighs, or sarcastic remarks like, great, or, I am so happy to do that for you. I talk to him over and over to nauseam how this hurts my heart very much. It's already hard enough that I have the drive but not the physical stamina to accomplish the millions of tasks set forth. He said at least 24 times that he'll do better, but it's 3.5 years. It makes me so distant from him. I also lost so much respect for him that it's hard for me to see him as a partner. I know he works hard and has stressors, but I wanted a teammate. I feel cheated. He says who cares what his response is just as long as he does what I ask. What are your thoughts on this? I'm lost on what to do next. TIA for the read. Stories number 18. How can I, tell my sister that she can't name her baby daughter Lolita? My sister, 37F, is not the most well-read person. She gave birth to a baby girl yesterday. She's got 2 boys already and has wanted a girl for a long time. She has just told me that they are naming her Lolita. I don't know how to process this or how to tell her this is not a good, or cute, or edgy name. We don't have the closest relationship, and I'm her older sister and childless by choice. She often thinks I'm boring or a stick in the mud. I worry that anything I say will just be eye-rolled at, or make her stick to the name harder. Edit to add update. I've written her a message outlining my concerns. Hey love. I am so happy and excited for you and the new little one. And I want you to know that I love and support you and that I'll always be there for you. This message isn't meant to shame or hurt you, but I want you to be making as informed a decision as possible. I wasn't aware of all of the history of Lolita myself, so I looked it up and asked some advice of others better read than me. I wanted to share some thoughts on the name, not to tell you what to do, but just to make sure you have all the information. While it's a beautiful sounding name, Lolita carries some really strong and often unpleasant connotations. As I'm sure you're already aware, it's the title and the name of the 12-year-old girl in Nabokov's book and films. The book is about her intercourse assault by an older man, and because of this, the name has become synonymous with the intercourse and exploitation of underage girls. In the book she is painted as a 12-year-old seductress, even though, of course at 12 she cannot consent, and we're encouraged to sympathize with pedophile. Beyond the book, the term Lolita is, of course, now a category of barely legal pornography. And more recently, Jeffrey Epstein named his private plane the Lolita Express, as if the name needed any further connection to child intercourse trafficking. I know how much thought you're putting into this, and ultimately, I will love and support you and your baby no matter what name you choose. I just wanted to make sure you were aware of these associations, as they're pretty ingrained in pop culture and beyond. Let me know if you want to talk about it, and if this is your final decision then I will say no more and will support your decision. Folks have reminded me that she'll be hormonal, exhausted and emotional at this point, so I'm not going to send it to her till she's settled back home from hospital. I don't want to overwhelm her with a wall of text, but I think text is the best option so she can read back through it if she needs. I genuinely love and care for her, and if this is a thought-through decision then I will support her in it. I just really want to make sure that she has all the info that she can. She is both hot-headed and strong-willed, so I'm afraid that if I push she'll stick to her choice thorough stubbornness rather than a real love for the name, so any advice on the wording is appreciated. Stories number 19. Aita for locking myself in the bathroom with my Switch just to get 30 minutes of peace. So I, 25M, live with my girlfriend, 24F, who I love seriously. She's amazing but holy hell, she talks non-stop. I don't mean in a bad way, like I love hearing about her day, her work drama, her cousin's dog's digestive problems, all of it. But sometimes I just want to sit in silence and play Mario Kart without hearing, babe, do you think raccoons have feelings? Or, do you think my coworker hates me or is just bad at texting? Anyway, last Sunday, I was on the verge of losing it. I had just finished a brutal week of work, and I told her I needed like half an hour to reset. She said, of course, babe, and literally 7 minutes later, she popped in like the Kool-Aid man asking if I wanted to help reorganize the pantry because it's giving anxiety. Girl. No. So I grabbed my Switch and locked myself in the bathroom. Brought a Gatorade, a snack, even lit a candle to really lean into the vibe. I was mid-race when she starts knocking like it's a hostage negotiation. Are you okay? Why are you hiding from me? Did I do something? I tried to explain, still playing by the way, that I just needed a little alone time. She got super offended and said I was emotionally unavailable and using the bathroom to avoid emotional labor. Now she's been giving me side eyes for like 3 days and making weird comments like, hope the bathroom's comfy, your real girlfriend. So AITA for locking myself in there just to play games and be alone for a bit. I swear I'm not trying to be a jerk. I just needed a moment where no one asked me if we should start composting. TLDR, needed peace, locked myself in bathroom with switch, girlfriend thinks I'm emotionally distant now. Just wanted to win one race in silence. Aita, relevant comments. Commenter 1, NTA I couldn't handle that. I would break up with this person so fast. You have every right to need to decompress a few hours even is not too much to ask for. Me and my husband do that often. It's called mutual respect and love. Also a bit empathy. Reply, I was starting to think I was losing my mind. Like I get that she's a talker and all, but dang, I just wanted 30 minutes without getting roped into some random deep convo about almond milk versus oat milk. Mutual respect and love yes. That part. I'm not trying to avoid her, I just don't want to burn out being on 24/7. Appreciate the sanity check lol. Additional comments from OOP. Reply, like what if I was in there fighting for my life after Taco Bell? I tried chilling in the bedroom but she kept coming in like, do you want to light a candle with me, or, should we deep clean the fridge together it'll be fun. I love her, but sometimes I gotta disappear like a raccoon in the night. The bathroom's the only safe zone left in the apartment. Top comments. Commenter 2, NTA but you need to have a grown-up conversation with this amazing person. No one should have to hide in the bathroom to get peace and quiet, unless it is from your children, lol. That she is offended says she is insecure and way too needy to be amazing. Can you imagine this for the rest of your life? Insanity. Commenter 3, as soon as the hope the bathroom's comfy, your real girlfriend snide commentary started, I'd be done. I don't have time for that bullshit. Update. Hey y'all, just wanted to give a little update because wow didn't expect that much support or empathy. Seriously, thank you. I legit thought I was going crazy for needing a half hour away from my girlfriend without being labeled a heartless robot. So here's what happened since, after the whole switchgate, things were a little frosty. She kept calling the bathroom my man cave and said, don't forget to light a candle for your me time, Chad. My name's not Chad, but good news, we actually talked it out. Like really talked, not, do raccoons feel sadness, talked. I told her I wasn't trying to shut her out, I just need to recharge sometimes or I start short-circuiting like a Walmart robot. She actually teared up, which made me feel like a jerk again, and said she didn't realize I felt that way and assumed I was avoiding her. We agreed on something simple, I get a little solo time each day, no guilt trips, and in return, I won't hide in the bathroom like I'm evading taxes. She even said she'd try not to start big philosophical debates while I'm mid-chew or gaming. Small wins. Also, she made a calendar reminder for silent chill time and added a raccoon emoji next to it. So, I think we're good. Anyway, appreciate y'all for letting me vent and making me feel less insane. Sometimes Reddit really is therapy. TLDR, we talked. She gets it now. I get solo time, she gets reassurance. Nobody broke up, and the switch is safe. Top comments. Commenter 1, I am so happy to read your update. Communication is the key to every relationship. Don't be too concerned if she falls back into the yakking ways, it may take a few nicely worded reminders. So long as the doors of communications are open, things should be good. Commenter 2, might take some reminders, humans are prone to fall back into habits. But you've done the adult thing and I hope it works out for you. Commenter 3, I'm glad she's hearing your side, but what if you don't need the quiet time when she's got it scheduled? Is she going to throw it in your face if you don't do your alone time her way? Just something to be wary of. I don't always know when I'll need alone time, and if someone else is trying to tell me I couldn't have time to recharge when I need it just because it's not at the time they decided I should do it. That would be even worse for me than not having quiet time at all, if someone else thought they could control my personal time. Stories number 20. Long-distance girlfriend, 28F, has close male friend who likes her, I'm, 28M, wondering what to do. My girlfriend is righteous, fair, and caring to the extreme. She wouldn't hurt a fly. Case in point, I once killed an ant that was on the table and she actually cried, with real tears. Because she cares, and because she can't see any being, no matter which one, be in pain. Now, on to my issue, we're in a long-distance relationship, and there's this guy at her work that is really, desperately in love with her in my opinion. It started out as them becoming running partners while she was preparing for a marathon. They run together 3 times a week, before work. And long runs at that, sometimes 20 to 30K. They talk a lot during those and got to know each other. Then they hang out at work. They eat together and talk more. They are both kind of foodies, actually that's one of the special things between me and her, so they exchange things they cooked, for example jam in exchange for honey, homemade bread, things like that. Then sometimes they go to parties together, though as far as I know, he's invited her a couple of times and she's always declined to go to a party just with him. If they are at a party together, it's because it's a group thing and they belong to the same group of people. Anyway, they go to parties and I think they hang out nicely there too. Lastly, although she declines to go party one-on-one with him, they do hang out together on Sunday afternoons and the like. So, I'm 100% sure that this guy is super into her. He does everything he can to hang out with her. Now on to her side. She wouldn't hurt me. I was wondering for a while whether she was capable of cheating behind my back and not telling me, in other words, her version of not hurting me. But I'm pretty sure that's not an option, because we see each other often, every 2 weeks, and it's miraculously amazing every single time. Mind-blowing. Never seen such synergy in any couple. Everything, the conversation, the love, the activities we do, the intercourse, absolutely everything. We talk on the phone all the time. Every single evening. There's literally no available time in which she could actually cheat on me, unless they meet from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. or something ridiculous like that. She's pretty blunt. I don't think she would hide something like that. She's not the type to be afraid to break up. I think if she felt like it she'd just do it, because it would feel right. Having said all this, I don't know what to do. Just like I'm 100% sure that the guy would love to be in a couple with her, I think she is also not indifferent and she would definitely go for it if she weren't with me. They're a pretty good match, they have similar backgrounds, more similar than her and I, they work at the same place and like hanging out at the same spots, they speak the same language, whereas with me she has to speak in English, none of us are native. He's a cool guy, young, smart, sportsy, he's got a lot going for him. It's a funny situation. On the one hand, it's super awesome to have a girl that's so true to you. I'm really sure she's not cheating. That's not the problem here. On the other hand, I'm also pretty damn sure that if we weren't together, she'd be with that guy. It would just make absolutely no sense to not be with him. So the question is that an okay situation? Could one see it as her just keeping the guy as a backup in case we break up, and is that an okay thing to do? Is it an indication that I'm not showing her enough proof of my affection, and she believes there's a possibility of breakup? Alternatively, she's somewhat naive about many things. Is it actually possible that she doesn't notice anything, that she really thinks they're just friends and he has no special intentions? On the possibility that she's afraid of a breakup and keeps him a backup, unfortunately I can't go much further with our current situation to give her a promise of security. We're long distance so I wouldn't do anything crazy like proposing to her when we've never lived together. I guess the only reasonable thing I could do is quit my job and move to her city, but I love my job so much and I'm doing so well at it that it would be really hard for me to do that. Note that for the eventual plan, when we'd move in together, we would go to a city where I can keep working for the same company. There are many such cities, but sadly the one she lives in is not one of those where we have an office. I almost feel bad because they'd be such a great couple. I feel like I should just make it easy for her and let her be with that guy, be done with the long distance, let them be married in their city and have a happy life together. With me, we have another 1 to 2 years of long distance to get through, and then we'd probably have to both move to another city to be together. We've talked a lot about it, we're both okay with that plan, we both can't wait to move in together, but when you take a step back it would just make so much more sense for them to be together instead. I guess sometimes love does strange things. I don't know if I should bring this up to her at all, as I said, nothing bad is actually happening at the moment. I just want to avoid that in 1 year she suddenly has a change of heart and goes with him, and we all realize we lost 1 year of our lives. And frankly if that happens the two of them would still be fine, but the biggest loser would be me, since I'd be all alone and I'd have to start everything over. The stupidest part is that this wouldn't be a question at all if we lived in the same city, because then she'd obviously spend all her time with me and she wouldn't have this enormous amount of time spent with this other guy. I don't know what to do. I'm happy with her, and she's happy with me. I just don't want to wake up one day and realize it was all a waste. I'm in my prime years now, I won't be anymore in 2 to 3 years. Edit, maybe a reasonable thing to do would be to talk to the guy. There aren't many opportunities for me to do so, but he might be at a gathering that we're going to attend next weekend. Sorry, don't want to give too many details. TLDR, long-distance girlfriend has male friend who's really into her and they spend lots of time together. She's not cheating physically, but what's the best thing to do? Top comment. Commenter 1. I think the problem here is the vast amount of time she is spending one-on-one with a guy that isn't you. Even though these aren't official dates, she has been effectively dating this guy for a long while. I personally wouldn't feel comfortable with that. I would just sit her down and discuss it. Update. TLDR, 5 years ago, my girlfriend was really close with this guy. It made me feel terrible. I brought it up with her and here's what happened. I brought up the topic and she was super cool about it. She was surprised and she said that it was just friendship on her side. However, she went up to the guy and asked him if he saw things the same way. He said he didn't, he was actually into her. So, she told him that she's with me and that they need to stop hanging out. It was never an issue after that, we still met him at a few parties, but it didn't make me feel bad at all. Reading the old post made me smile. It felt like a big issue back then, but she solved it so swiftly. I'm really thankful to her. We've had the most wonderful relationship since then, and even before then. We're 33 years old now and still going strong together. We moved in together a couple of years ago and it's been amazing living together, traveling together, being together all the time. She's still so sweet, I love her with the bottom of my heart, and it's obvious she loves me too. You never know how these things will turn out, but ours is a story to fill your hearts with hope and love. P.S. Now I'll delete the password to this throwaway and any reference to it on my computer. It feels nice to close the loop. Top comments. Commenter 1. I love getting an update and realizing the original post is from 5 years ago. Commenter 2. You can tell his love for this girl, who is clearly awesome, and I was really rooting for them. Admittedly, there was a small part of me, in the deep, dark place of my soul, that hoped she would tell him she cheated on him, had been for years. Then she'd lean in, real close, and whisper through gritted teeth, this was for the ant, and slap him in the face. Your GF did such a wonderful job resolving the issue. Congratulations to you both, you sound like lovely people, both of you. Stories number 21. I 24F think my boyfriend 23M is sleeping with his boss 54F because he always comes home late showered and she gives him bonuses. How can I get to the truth of it? My boyfriend and I live together and have dated for 3 years. He has worked for his boss for couple years now. She's a divorced woman and I've met her before. The thing is that she was super nice to me, but I cannot seem to trust her. My boyfriend does extra work for her as overtime sometimes when she needs help at the house and she pays him a lot extra. My boyfriend works a physical job so he usually comes home dusty and sweaty. Now it's becoming more often, but he comes home already showered sometimes. I asked him Hefor and he said boss lets him use her shower sometimes when he works late and want to just get home and rest. She also gives him a lot of extra cash and I find it too much for what he does for work. He also sometimes brings home gifts for me that his boss sends for me. I don't know why she would randomly send me expensive gifts or gift cards, it just doesn't sit right with me. I looked through his phone but he never has any messages with her so I DK if he deletes them. We have each other's location so if I try to go watch what he does he would know too. Is there anything I should do to get more evidence? Or how do I even confront him without proof? She treats him too nice I have noticed and she definitely at least finds him attractive because the last time I went to their company party she kept telling me how I was a lucky girl to have a handsome boyfriend. Stories number 22. Aita for refusing to be my friend's alibi so he can cheat on his GF. I, M21, have known my friend Matt, M21, since we started college. We're in the same program and have been roommates since day one. Overall, I'd say Matt is a great guy, however, he has a terrible tendency to cheat. Throughout college, I think Matt had 5 to 7 different girlfriends, and each of those relationships ended because he would cheat. Back in January, he started dating his current girlfriend, Jen F21, and has been with her far longer than any of the previous relationships. From my interactions with Jen, I know she's a wonderful person. She's very polite, beautiful, and clearly devoted to Matt. For the past few weeks, Matt has also developed a close relationship with his anatomy lab partner, Cindy F21. It's become pretty clear to me and my other housemates, Kyle M21, Robert M22, Omar M20, that there is some romantic relationship between them. We've even all met Cindy as she came by our house a few times. Long story short, Matt has told me and the other guys that things between him and Cindy are moving fairly quickly and that Jen is completely in the dark about this. He told us that, for the foreseeable future, he'll be spending a few nights hanging out at Cindy's place. Here's the issue, Jen and her roommates don't live that far from us, about a 7-minute walk. So there's a good chance she'll come by looking for him, according to Matt. Therefore, he wants us all to make excuses for his absences and potentially reassure Jen that he isn't up to anything bad. Kyle and Robert are fully on board with this, as they consider it the bro code. Omar is fully against this, and while he has not said he'd tell Jen, he has refused to lie for Matt and has been urging him to end things with Cindy. I would say I'm more neutral. I don't think what Matt's doing is appropriate, but I don't think it's my place to tell Matt how to manage his relationships. I told him that while I wouldn't seek Jen out and tell her what's going on, I wouldn't lie to her either about where he is and instead say, I don't know. We all argued about this for a while, and the general gist of things is that Kyle, Robert, and Matt all think I'm being a bit of an ass for not being more cooperative. Aside from this, I don't think there is really much I can do. Moving to somewhere else is both economically and logistically unfeasible, so I think trying to avoid stirring the pot is my best bet. Update. I'll start this update by saying Jen found out last night. Like Matt predicted, she came over to our house Tuesday evening. I saw her pretty quickly since I was also coming back from buying some food. She asked me if I knew where Matt was, and I said I didn't know, because I genuinely didn't know at the time. She mentioned how he wasn't responding to her texts and that she was worried about him, and I felt pretty bad hearing that. Kyle, who were inside, came out at this point and said that Matt was in his anatomy lab and then reassured her that he'd contact her once he was finished. She didn't seem entirely satisfied with that answer but thanked us anyway and left. Once she was gone, Kyle told me that Matt was actually on a date with Cindy. Since Matt sometimes brings Cindy over, he'll text the house group chat before they come over to ensure that Jen isn't around. He did this on Tuesday night and Kyle did alert him that Jen had stopped by looking for him, so he stayed over with Cindy on Tuesday night. Wednesday evening, only Omar and I are home. Kyle was with his own GF, and Robert had an exam. Around 7 p.m., we got a text on the group chat from Matt saying he plans on bringing Cindy over around 8:30, and he asked if Jen came by. I told him that I hadn't seen her, and things went on as usual. I'll add that Omar has refused to respond to these specific text messages from Matt, so there was an expectation on me to clarify if Jen was here or not. A little after 8 p.m., Jen comes by with one of her friends, Carly F21. They asked us where Matt was since Jen hadn't been seeing him a lot lately. Before I could even say anything, Omar told them to come back after 8:30, and Matt should be home. They left, and I did argue with Omar about his decision to tell them to come back since it was inevitably going to cause drama, but he didn't care. I did text Matt and told him about Jen potentially returning, but since he was driving, he didn't read the message. At this stage, I gave up trying to contact Matt and went up to my room. A little after 8:30, Matt walked in with Cindy, and not that long afterward, Jen and Carly returned. Omar let them in. Long story short, there was a lot of Jen yelling and Matt lying and apologizing. I didn't bother coming down since I could hear it all from my room. After about 10 minutes of this, Jen and Carly left. Matt sent Cindy home after this and was pretty pissed at what happened. I reminded him that I sent text messages, which he now saw, and Omar played dumb, acting like he didn't see Matt's message about him asking if Jen was home but confirmed to him that he told Jen to come back after the first time she came because he didn't think Matt was dumb enough to go out with Cindy 2 nights back to back. Robert and Kyle came home after this point and I filled them in with what happened. There was definitely some tension in the house this morning as Matt thinks this all could have been avoided had Omar been more helpful. He also partially blames Cindy for wanting to come over so often. Overall, Matt doesn't really seem to care that Jen found out and broke things off with him. He said that he'll try apologizing one more time, as he does prefer Jen to Cindy, and if she doesn't accept, he'll leave things as they are. As for Cindy, Matt has already told Kyle, Robert, and me this morning that he plans on ending things with her after the December exam season. He says that he wants to be single again by New Year's so he can have a fresh start. Kyle and Robert think this is pretty hilarious considering how much trouble he got into to be with her. Things have ended more smoothly than I thought and I have made it abundantly to Matt to keep me out of his relationship woes. I have also asked Carly how Jen was holding up this morning as we share a class together. As expected, Jen was very upset about the entire ordeal and she and her friends consider everyone at our house aside from Omar to be complicit and awful. Quick update, Kyle texted the group chat, his GF knows and she isn't happy. Update 2, Aita for refusing to be my friend's alibi so he can cheat on his GF. I've been receiving a lot of DMs from people wondering how things turned out after the big reveal, so here's a quick recap. Jen did not accept Matt's apology. She has indicated that she, in fact, never wants to see him again. Matt is still with Cindy, and he still plans on breaking up with her after exam season. According to him, Cindy is starting to feel pretty secure now that Matt is no longer with Jen and has expressed her desire to form a serious relationship with him. While he does feel a bit guilty, he thinks it's best for both of them that he ends things with her before New Year's. Despite feeling guilty, Matt has attempted to reactivate his Tinder account, but Kyle made him take it down. Kyle thinks it's too soon for Matt to do this since someone we know is bound to see him there, and according to Kyle, Matt needs to play up the angle that he's heartbroken about falling out with Jen. Kyle has smoothed things over with his girlfriend by claiming he had no idea Matt was cheating. Robert backed him up on this and expressed that nobody aside from Matt knew. While I did plan on telling Carly the truth about what was going on, considering how quickly Matt, Kyle, and Robert have been moving, I opted against this. Instead, I've told Carly that I also did not know about Matt's cheating. Yes, it's a lie, but since I was against Matt cheating, I don't think it's fair for me to go down with the ship, considering that both Kyle and Robert are getting off relatively scot-free. Apparently, I was convincing enough, as Carly told me that while she herself doesn't think I'm so bad, Jen will need time to process what went down, so it's best to give her space. Again, I get it isn't the most appropriate measure, but I really don't think I deserve to be in the splash zone. Omar has expressed his strong disappointment in all of us, but at this stage his voice has become ambient noise according to Kyle. Since I'm fortunately visiting my parents this weekend, I get to be away from the drama and hopefully any potential fallout. Also, since it's relatively earlier, we'll have to wait and see if anything else happens. But I hope, pray, the worst is over. Third update. Omar is doing alright. We're not ostracizing him or anything. All he has is bad exam anxiety, despite consistently getting good marks. We went out to celebrate his birthday a few nights ago, and this did help us all de-stress. According to Carly, Jen is still very upset about what happened with Matt. However, fortunately, she's less depressed about it now and feels anger towards Matt more than anything else according to Carly. As for Matt himself, he still claims to be on course to dump Cindy sometime in the near future, as he has remained adamant about being single by the new year. Matt and Kyle claim that it is fair considering the role that Cindy played in all of this, but I'm not so sure. Either way, I'll be staying out of whatever Matt has planned. Kyle has pretty successfully smoothed things over with his own GF. For a bit, it did look like she wanted to take a break from him, since she did hear about him telling Jen that Matt was in his lab instead of with Cindy. She was suspicious, but he did reiterate to her that he had no idea Matt was cheating. Robert helped him with this, and they have successfully put the entire thing on Matt. Matt is okay with this, as he does now admit some responsibility, but he only made this admission after Omar essentially had to spell it out for him. Aside from this, not much is happening since everyone is mainly focused on their exams. Update. So, there have been a few developments since my last post. Before you ask, no, I haven't told Kyle's girlfriend anything for obvious reasons. Firstly, I don't want to ruin my housing situation. Second, it'd be my word against Kyle's, Matt's, and Robert's, so she probably wouldn't believe what I have to say. Also, I've started seeing a new girl myself, and things are going smoothly. Snitching on Kyle would probably ruin that as well. I asked Omar privately if he was going to blow the whistle on Kyle, but he didn't give me a particularly straightforward answer. He's hard to read, so I don't know what he'll do. Kyle has begged him not to say anything, so we'll see how that holds. I'm guessing Omar has probably already told the girl he likes about the entire situation. They act like a married couple despite not really dating, so if he knows, she probably knows as well, which does put Kyle at some risk of being found out, but this is only speculation and not my problem. Matt's plan to dump Cindy and be single by the new year has completely fallen apart. As you may recall, Cindy is Matt's lab partner, and the anatomy class they're taking is a full-year course. As Omar so smugly pointed out, Matt wants the anatomy prof to write him a ref letter eventually, since he has done prior research with this prof and is doing well in his class, and if he were to have a conflict with his lab partner, that might spoil the letter. Omar has been throwing this constantly in Matt's face by saying things like how Matt needs to pretend to love Cindy even though he isn't capable of love, and how he can't be a hoe anymore because it will affect his academics. He says all this jokingly, but it is hilarious considering how worked up Matt gets. Jen and Carly are doing alright. I saw them before leaving campus the other day, and we spoke briefly. I've heard that Jen is starting to reconnect with her ex, the guy before Matt. Before you ask, she didn't cheat on this guy with Matt. She got with Matt a few months after she and the guy ended things. Hopefully, she finds happiness there. Since our winter break has started, we'll all be headed our separate ways for most of the break. I do plan on hanging out with the guys a few times, though for now, as much as I love tea, I need a break from their drama. Update 5. Unsurprisingly, Matt, M22, has cheated again on his newest GF, Cindy, F21. I use the term GF loosely because realistically Matt only stayed with Cindy because he needed a recommendation letter from a certain prof and didn't want issues in the class he shared with her. Cindy was essentially a placeholder, and since Matt no longer needs that letter, lucky him, he's more or less done with her. He went on quite a tirade about how annoying and clingy she is and again mentioned how he still prefers his previous GF, Jen, F21, to her. Matt revealed this information, during a completely unrelated conversation, to me, M21, and one of my other roommates, Omar, M21, last night. The two of us had no idea this was going on, as Matt has been more secretive about whom he tells his relationship info since the last time he cheated. Our other roommate Kyle, M21, told us that he has known about Matt cheating on Cindy for almost 2 weeks now. He and Matt are besties. I'm not sure if our other roommate Robert, who wasn't here last night when we're having this chat, knows about Matt cheating yet again. I didn't bother asking Matt or Kyle if he knew. Of course, Cindy has no clue that Matt's been unfaithful, nor does Kyle's own GF, Olivia, F21, know that Kyle's been essentially helping Matt cheat on Cindy. I kinda knew Olivia wouldn't know for obvious reasons, but I didn't want Kyle to confirm this with me. The only reason I got this confirmation was because Omar stupidly asked Kyle, "Does Olivia know?" Realistically, Omar knew damn well that Olivia wouldn't know. She didn't know last time Kyle covered for Matt, but I guess he wanted to burden us with this information for whatever reason. Omar then asked Matt if he was going to break up with Cindy, and Matt only responded by saying, eventually, yes. I asked Matt what he meant by this, and he clarified that he wanted to be done with Cindy by reading week, about 2 weeks away. For those wondering, I'm still here for 3 more months until my lease is up. Update 6. I'm only writing because I've been getting far too many DMs and I just want to address a few things here. Firstly, please stop DMing me. I've got over 50 in the past few days and more or less they're all the same nonsense. Second, nobody should expect me to march over to Jen and Carly's house and tell them and all their other roommates that I knew Matt was cheating on Jen for weeks before he got found out. I have a pretty good reputation and don't want to needlessly damage that. You're free to call it cowardice, but I think it's pretty pointless to go talk to Jen since she has largely moved on. I truly hope she's in a better place. Carly and I still have a few classes together this semester and she generally has a very good opinion of me. We share notes pretty often and I know that telling her would make her disappointed. Third, nobody in our house has any intentions of telling Cindy that Matt is actively cheating on her. We are all pretty busy dealing with exams, assignments, and interview prep to worry about that. I however told Matt firmly that he needed to stop playing games and at least try and hold down a serious relationship after the Cindy saga ends. He said he would heed my advice, but I don't really believe him. Fourth, Kyle's GF Olivia doesn't know about how he's helping Matt cheat on Cindy. Omar did tell him that he should probably come clean about that before it bites him in the ass later. Robert on the other hand told Kyle that telling Olivia is madness since she may react as if Kyle was the one cheating. Obviously, Matt also doesn't want Kyle to tell Olivia anything. Lastly, I don't expect Omar to run around spilling tea like most people think. He's got enough on his plate between schoolwork, interviews and prepping for Ramadan. However, I will admit there is a small chance the girl he likes, Sarah F21, knows about our situation and may tell Olivia. Kyle does worry about that. Last update. The second term at uni is finally starting to wrap up now. I had a few stressful midterms but for the most part, things seem to be calming down a bit. I only have about 1.5 months left on my lease and then I'll be able to leave all my roommate drama in the past as this is our last year of undergrad. Just a few days ago, Matt told me and the other guys that he had finally dumped Cindy. It came a bit late as I remember him saying something about being done with her by reading week, which ended on February 25th. He admitted that he kept her along partially for his lab class. Now only a few more lab sessions remain in the term and most of them are independent work according to Matt. Supposedly, Cindy is distraught, though since she knew about Matt's antics beforehand, I hope she had the foresight to mentally prepare for this outcome. At least she doesn't know she was cheated on. Since dumping Cindy, Matt has started seeing a new girl. So far he claims to like her, but since he's likely going to move this summer, to attend med school, the relationship already has a predetermined expiry date. Omar asked him if the girl knew what she was signing up for and Matt gave a lame answer about not knowing the future and how she might prefer this sort of arrangement. Omar was a bit annoyed by this and told Matt that he was behaving like an asshole. I agreed with Omar and told Matt that he was probably already lining up potential affair partners. He denied this and said that if things went well enough, he'd be open to trying a long-distance relationship, assuming he moves out of province. All of us called BS on this, even Kyle and Robert. Speaking of Kyle, he has still not told Olivia about how he's been helping Matt cheat. Olivia is pretty friendly with Omar's so-called future wife, Sarah, so maybe she tells Olivia. Kyle is worried about this outcome and asked Omar to help with damage control if this does happen. Omar has refused and claims he can't lie since he's fasting these days. He thinks that Kyle should just tell her so that way she'll maybe appreciate the transparency. Robert warned Kyle against this and said that it would probably just create drama and stress for him. I've been telling my own girlfriend some of what's been going on, and she has expressed to me several times that she doesn't like Matt, or Kyle lol. Between all the papers she writes for her courses and prepping for the LSAT she'll be writing in the late summer, she's got enough to worry about. But she did tell me that she'd like me to be firmer with Matt, so I've been calling out his problematic behavior more often. The last thing I'll add is that Jen is thankfully in a better place now. Carly told me that Jen started talking with a new guy a few weeks ago, so hopefully, that works out well for her. Funnily enough, Matt knows this as well and seems bothered by it, but there isn't much he can do about it aside from coping, I guess. Final update. It has been some time since my last post and many people have been sending me DMs asking me how things regarding the Matt situation have played out. I've only been on Reddit sporadically since classes have ended, but have decided to give those wondering one final update. Like I've said before, I never wanted to roll myself into other people's drama. I was a spectator and a lot of the stuff that went down over the past year was not caused by me. Therefore, since summer started I've been largely staying out of people's drama since I no longer live with drama-causing people. However, I still know somewhat about what other people are up to based on social media and just chatting with them from time to time. Also, since I forgot the password of my original Reddit account, I've started using this one as my main. As such, I've deleted my previous posts as a precaution and will delete this one as well. I will also no longer be responding to any DMs. Here's just a quick recap of what's been happening since my last post. I can happily say that after a pretty chaotic school year, things have settled down. We all completed our exams at the end of April, and our lease ended, so the boys and I returned our keys and headed off for a well-deserved summer vacation. Since then, I've been largely chilling. Undergrad is done, hallelujah, and since I've been accepted into med school, this summer has been the most relaxed one I've had since my high school days. Honestly, there are few things in life nicer than waking up whenever you feel like, playing video games late at night, or chilling with friends and not talking about school stuff. I don't have to do any bizarre research about some random-ass cytokines or do some weird health volunteering project. I just get to relax and enjoy myself, and I'm extremely grateful for that. I also bought a new car, which was also exciting. While I've been largely indulging myself to make sure I'm fully rested for med school, things for my GF things have been a bit more stressful. She's preparing for her LSAT, which she's writing in August. I'm sure she'll do fine, but nonetheless, she's stressed out. We did travel to Halifax a little while ago so that she could visit some friends, and that trip was surprisingly fun. Kyle and Matt have also gotten into med school and like me have been taking things easy. Matt actually ended up getting into quite a few offers, so he's off to his dream school in late August. Predictably since then, he's been all over Bumble and Hinge. He claims to have evolved past Tinder, but he's still largely up to the same antics. He also swears he start and stay in a commitment relationship once he starts med school, but I'm not going to hold my breath. Kyle and I only got one acceptance, but who's counting? All three of us are going to different schools. Kyle seems to have come clean to Olivia about his involvement with Matt cheating on Jen. Olivia and Sarah are kinda besties, and Omar tells Sarah essentially everything, so Kyle was worried Sarah would tell Olivia a greatly exaggerated version of events, or so he said. I learned this all from speaking with Robert back in May. Kyle was able to control the narrative and Olivia was upset for a while but decided to look past it since she wanted to maintain that relationship. Also, since Kyle's school is out of province, she wanted their transition to long distance to be smooth. Omar, unfortunately, was not accepted this cycle. Instead, he's pursuing a course-based master's program. I'm sure he'll do well since he's a hard worker, and I imagine he'll get med admissions next year. However, right now he's probably dealing with the most drama of any of us, but I'll get into that later. Robert is also doing a master's, though it is a thesis-based one. He likes that sort of thing, random-ass cytokines, though you couldn't pay me to do something like that. Carly is off to med school in the US. She's kinda a high-strung person, so she's been stressing a lot about moving there, tuition costs and the general safety of living in the States. We text and talk pretty regularly. NGL, though I feel like sometimes her anxiety is contagious. Just listening to her vent makes me nervous sometimes, lol. From speaking with her, I was able to learn a lot about the future plans of many of our classmates and friends, including Jen. From what Carly told me, Jen plans on taking the following year off before coming back to school. However, the most interesting thing she's told me was that apparently Omar and Sarah are having some sort of relationship issue. Rumor has it that Sarah is getting very frustrated that Omar hasn't proposed to her or something. I didn't think their relationship was that serious since it's not like they really dated or anything, but I digress. Omar doesn't want that sort of responsibility right now while he's still a student, and this has made Sarah very annoyed. NGL, this was probably the most interesting thing I heard in the past few years since Omar is the most reserved person I've ever met. I was curious, so I asked Kyle if he knew anything since Olivia and Sarah are close, and he said that it checked out. Cindy has essentially fallen off the face of the planet. Some people say she's returning for another year. This would explain why nobody saw her at our recent graduation ceremony. I do know from Matt that she attempted to reach out to him a few times since their breakup, but he's ignored all her messages. I do kinda feel bad for her. Speaking about graduation, it was recent and Matt and Jen actually saw each other face to face for the first time in like 6 months. He said hi to her and she returned his greeting but didn't speak much after that. I honestly have a lot of respect for Jen. She handled herself with class and composure, unlike Cindy. I still think Matt is a moron for giving up what was clearly a good thing for someone like Cindy. But yeah, that's how things shaped up. I'm glad undergrad is done and I feel like while situations like this were uncomfortable they made me more mature. New update. Even though it's been over a year since I last mentioned my older roommates, I still get many DMs asking how the situation turned out. As we all headed our separate ways, things largely fizzled out after the 23-24 school year, and I was no longer directly involved with Matt's mess. However, since I did see Matt among a few others recently, Kyle and some other guys from undergrad, I don't think I've mentioned. Neither Rob or Omar attended. I've decided to make one more update to address the DMs I've been receiving. I've finished my first year of med school, and while it had its challenges, overall I enjoyed it. I've made lots of new friends, stayed in touch with old ones, and learned a ton. Since my school is only a few hours drive from home, I was able to visit fairly often. Being nearby also meant I could spend plenty of time with my GF, which honestly made the year feel a lot easier. She recently completed her final year of undergrad and is getting ready to begin law school soon. Matt is also doing alright. His med school experience sounds fairly similar to mine. We're not at the same school, so I've only seen him 3 times since we moved out of our undergrad place, most recently just last week. His dating life is still a bit of a disaster. He's a little wiser now, at least in the sense that he hasn't gotten involved with any classmates. From what I know, he only cheated twice over the past year, which might actually be a record low for him in the time I've known him. He says one incident was a genuine lapse where he fell into temptation. The other, he insists, didn't really count because they weren't exclusive yet. Both girls ended up cutting things off. For those wondering, his long history of cheating has more or less closed the door on dating anyone near our social circle. It's been that way for a while now. TBH, his reputation was bad for a while, and I never fully understood why Jen got involved with him in the first place. He's currently single. Kyle, who I also saw, is doing pretty well too. He left the province for med school, so he and Olivia couldn't see each other often. Eventually, he broke up with her, saying the long-distance thing was too difficult. This was back around winter break, and since then, both of them have moved on. Kyle has been seeing someone new for a few months now, though I haven't met her. He says it's going well. Olivia, as far as I know, is single. The person from undergrad I've kept up with the most is Carly. She's in med school in the US and isn't enjoying it. I haven't seen her since winter break, and despite the distance, she's somehow more in the loop about everyone than I am. Most of the stuff I hear nowadays comes through her. The most notable thing she told me is that while Olivia was sad about her breakup with Kyle, nearly all of her friends were relieved. They thought Olivia had been putting in way more effort than Kyle deserved. Honestly, I think they had a point. Sarah and Omar also didn't last, as they each had different goals. Sarah is starting dental school in the fall, at, funnily enough, the same school Kyle is attending for med. Since she's close to Olivia, she's apparently kind of grossed out about potentially seeing him there. Omar's still finishing up his master's. He got rejected from med school again, which is frustrating, and I honestly don't get why. His grades are excellent, he's got good research, and he has relevant volunteer work, but I guess that's why the schools say even qualified applicants can get turned away regularly. He's disillusioned with the whole process, and when we last talked around Easter, he was seriously thinking about applying to med overseas. Robert's still working away at his 2-year master's. For whatever reason, he's obsessed with the most boring research topics, and last time we talked, he mentioned that he was thinking about doing a PhD afterwards. Other than that, he's been keeping a pretty low profile. He's spoken to me a few times but hasn't really talked to Matt or Kyle since we all moved out. He did say he regrets not stepping in when Matt kept cheating on his girlfriends, and that if he were in the same position again, he'd handle it differently. I guess you could say that I feel the same. Looking back, I probably could have done more, not just with Matt and Jen, but also during earlier situations when he cheated on previous girlfriends. Speaking of Jen, she's working as a research assistant and is planning to go back to school eventually for a master's or something along those lines. I haven't seen her since we graduated, and all of this is info I got through Carly. That said, Jen seems to be doing fine and is still with the guy she met near the end of our last year of undergrad. TBH, I really think things worked out well for her. She's got a wonderful personality, and to be with someone who doesn't respect that just didn't seem right. Cindy is still finishing undergrad. Robert's seen her a few times since his grad program is at our old school. It seems like Matt breaking up with her may have taken a toll academically, at least that's what Rob thinks, because she didn't graduate with the rest of us. Rob said that every time he sees her, she looks depressed, which is, I'm guessing, is the main reason he feels guilty. Maybe I'm giving Matt too much credit for how things turned out for her. Everyone's got their own demons, and maybe she's dealing with something totally unrelated to him. Anyway, aside from seeing Matt and Kyle last week, I don't plan on hanging out with them again anytime soon. I only saw them because I wanted to catch up with some other friends, and they just happened to be there. Stories number 23. My husband, 25M, and I, 23F, are having a baby. Is me asking for more than a week too much? I, 23F, am 15 weeks along. My husband and I have just started talking about all of the appointment schedules going on until the end of the year, baby due in November. We found out I would not be getting paid maternity leave, but he would be getting paid paternity leave for up to 4 weeks. I've already started saving up for when I will be out of work for 3 weeks after the baby. I work from home, and I didn't really think it would be a problem for him to help me out for 3 weeks while I healed, and then let me readjust for a week while I try to transition back to work. His response was that he would be happy to take a week off, but if he needed to he could take 2. His reason was that 2 weeks was $2,000 that he would already be missing out on and didn't feel comfortable losing anymore. A few key details before I get into the juicy part. We've been together for 5 years, just got married May 4th. Yes, we had issues before the baby, and no, the baby was not planned. I have pre-existing health issues, on top of being diagnosed with hyperemesis gravidarum that have sent me to the ER 4 times already. He does new construction plumbing, so he's paid per project, but if he were to be working at the shop on a rainy day low inventory then he makes $15 an hour, which he would be getting paid during leave. We already have 3 ginormous dogs that I take care of 80% of the time on top of all vet visits, grooming. I feel that these are important tidbits so that you can better understand where I'm coming from. All I could do in response was sit there and cry. It hit me that I would honestly be doing this alone. I had already come to terms that once he went back to work, I wouldn't get much help from him since he does work a job that is manual labor, and he already is exhausted without having a baby around. I told him that at this point, I'd rather him just take the day off for the birth and I'd handle the rest. I explained that a week was hardly anything, and if I was expected to be okay with just that, then I'd rather take nothing. I've already been looking around in CareCom and Rover to find someone to help with the baby and the dogs. I don't have anyone else but him, since both of our parents work and we don't have any other family near us. I now feel selfish because he got upset by what I said and he said, the baby isn't even here yet, and I already feel like a deadbeat. I can't find anything online that says what's if a week is enough or not, and now I feel horrible because I can't get past the emotional part of this situation. Someone tell me I'm wrong or something because I don't really know what to think anymore. Edit. A few things I feel like I need to point out since some of you are a bit on the cranky side. Yes, we use protection, hence, surprise baby. I live in FL. Maternity leave is not mandatory for employers. I could have done FMLA, but because I don't use my employer's insurance, it's not offered to me nor have I paid into it to use it. My main reason for this post was to get a viewpoint of all sides on this matter. It's our first child and we had already discussed of children later on in life. I never planned to get pregnant. I promise the baby and I are being monitored by my OB and my cardiologist. Relevant comments. Where is she from? Reply. Florida. Commenter 1. If he's getting paid parental leave, why the hell would him being at work matter? Wouldn't he be getting the same amount of money? Also, this situation is so fucked and I'm so sorry. Having to go back to work, even WFH, 3 weeks after giving birth just sounds so cruel. Has your husband done any research on birth and newborns? He seems to think that it's all going to be much easier than it's going to be. Reply. Technically his pay is based on per project, which is per house. They range from $800 to $1,600. In 2 weeks' time, he can technically have up to 5 done, which is more than his hourly pay. Although, based off his comment, he'd technically be missing out on $800 if he were to take those 2 weeks off. It's honestly not my preferred plan, but with the economy I couldn't afford any longer. I've explained to him what a vajayjay birth and a C-section entail, along with the responsibilities of having a newborn. I've bought him books, sent him videos, but there's not much more I can do to make it black and white for him. Commenter 2. Okay, what about just telling him that you need him there? How is that alone not getting him to drop everything? There's been a lot of studies on paternal leave and I'm pretty sure if you do a quick search you can find lots of research showing that it's much more beneficial for the dad, child, and mom for dad to take more than 2 weeks off when the baby is born. You still have some time. Can you maybe save the $800 before the baby comes? Reply. I told him I would need more than a week and he threw 2 at me, lol. Truthfully, I wish we were both in the position to take off at least 6 weeks, because my pregnancy is already high risk with my heart condition. This will probably be our only one and I don't want either of us to miss out on anything. It's so frustrating because he didn't grow up with a father, so he always says that he turned out just fine. I've already got close to $1,000 in savings for the baby. But we keep everything separate. I plan on having a lot more by the time the baby comes, just in case we need a cushion for whatever reason. Commenter 3. Honestly, are you sure going through with this pregnancy is the right move? It's putting your health at risk. You and your husband were already having issues, a baby makes things harder not easier, and now he additionally is showing an extraordinary level of immaturity and is refusing to step up and is manipulating you into feeling guilty. This is only going to get worse. Reply. Absolutely. When we found out, we were still dating. I gave him choices. He could either leave or he could step up and be a parent. I tried to get him to leave honestly, because I wasn't 100% sure on how it would all go. But he chose to stay and he's been pretty great until this conversation. We only decided to get married because my previous insurance was expensive for my heart doctor and his was accepted by both my OB and heart doctor. So it just made sense. Commenter 4. I know this is a very tough question, but is there any world in which you would consider not having this baby? Your health is at risk. Your relationship with this man doesn't seem the strongest. It seems like finances are a little tight. I know when push comes to shove, you'll get through it and this baby will be cared for and loved. But please know that you're allowed to prioritize yourself too, and if making a very tough decision is what's best for you, do it. Reply. I thought about it when I first found out, but truthfully, I've always wanted to be a mom, I just had figured I'd go via foster adoption. Our relationship and finances are definitely not in the best position, but considering how much worse it could be, it's not the worst. I know at the end of the day, he will provide for the baby. My health has been a concern and I was on COBRA previously through my old job's insurance. The insurance my company has wasn't accepted at the Mayo Hospital, so my only other solution to cutting back on costs was to get on my husband's plan, which is accepted by my heart doctor and my OB. So I am being monitored and get weekly lab work checkups. Update. Some of you got but heard about the word vajaja and it makes me laugh out loud. Nonetheless, I hope you have a lifetime of cold pillows. I got a lot of comments about having an abortion, and truthfully, it's not for me. I have nothing against abortions, I had already grown an attachment to my baby. I showed my husband the post and comments, it was all truly eye-opening for us both. We had some really hard conversations and some of the most groundbreaking talks. We both ended up in therapy and in couples therapy. We still have a long way to go, but I feel like I'm living in a dream now. My job ended up paying for 6 weeks of maternity leave. My husband took 2 weeks off and his job gave him a baby bonus, on top of the end-of-year bonus. They were absolutely incredible during the journey. My pregnancy was absolutely horrible. My morning sickness sent me to the hospital 7 times, I had 2 IVs weekly, anemia, and PUPPS, in the middle of summer. I ended up on bed rest in October and I had her in November. She had a few complications that we faced and we ended up at a high-risk doctor, but the stars aligned and all of her issues were resolved by the time she was born. I labored for 36 hours and ended up having a C-section due to her heart rate dropping. Out of everything, that was the moment I was terrified. My C-section was absolutely traumatizing. I remember there were doctors everywhere, asking me questions and asking me if I was feeling anything. Every few minutes after they had given me numbing through my epidural, I kept getting my feeling back. It was horrible feeling them cut and pulling and the burning pain. I swear, as soon as they pulled her out and she started screaming, it was the most peaceful I'd ever felt. The first 2 weeks with her was everything I had hoped and dreamed. My husband was incredible and took care of everything. I had never felt so loved in my entire life. He helped me do everything and was amazing at night watch. We are now officially 7 months in and I swear life couldn't be better. I still work from home and she's with me while I work. She's incredibly smart and we have a great routine together. She has 4 teeth, she's standing on her own and crawling. We are so close to saying mama. I never knew I could love someone as much as I do her, and I'm grateful that she's mine. I think regardless, I'd still have made the same decision to keep her. I know it would have been harder and a lot scarier. I've hated my life for as long as I can remember for one reason or another, but now I feel like I have an actual purpose and she came at the most perfect time. I realize that not all stories are the same and I hope that I don't seem insensitive, but I figured an update is an update, good or bad. If you ended up reading this, which I doubt anyone will, thank you for the time. It means the world to me. 3. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Happy to hear everything worked out, wow, what a roller coaster that must have been. I'm 30 and this makes me not want to have kids, but regardless, did any of the advice help you out? I think very low of the advice given at this sub BC. It's filled with single people and people who just hate couples and every solution is to break up. Reply. Oh yes, I'm never having another one, but she was absolutely all worth it. I'll be honest, I didn't have a lot to live for and was absolutely hating my life. She saved me and I'm a better person because of her. But it wasn't fun and the only part one really miss are the kicks. Truthfully, a lot of it was pretty hurtful. I get it though, from an outside standpoint it didn't look great and I absolutely did not my husband the credit he deserved. There were a few that I saved specifically that were neutral and were really good advice in regards to speaking to my husband about my concerns. And a lot of super nice people messaged me instead of commenting. It was my first time posting on Reddit and I'll not make the same mistake twice lol.